by the way. I'm just saying, even if it's a nickname, what the fuck is a Biff?
It was the 50s.
Death of a Salesman. That's a famous
Oh,
character.
that's right.
Biff Loman.
That proves my point right there.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Film Asylum. We are your hosts, Colin Peters.
I've come to warn you. You're doomed if you stay here.
God damn it, John. You gotta scare everybody off before we even get this fucking thing started.
But it's got a death curse.
You're gonna have a fucking death curse.
Do you guys think I'm a fart head?
Yes.
Yes,
Absolutely.
Good answer.
I did fart in the mic in an episode
Yeah, you did.
while you were talking.
While talking about one of the worst remakes of all time.
That's true. So introduce yourselves.
I think I already did him. I'm Jeff Manfred. This asshole over here is John Rochette.
Thank you, Jeff.
And for any aficionados who did not understand the quote that John was using today, we are going to be talking about the Friday the 13th franchise.
Yeah, 12 movies. Are we at 12 movies right now?
Yeah, we're at 12.
So it'll be 13 if that reboot, whatever, from LeBron James, whatever he wants to do. Yeah, I know. There was talks about LeBron James wanting to reboot Friday the 13th. I hope that doesn't happen. That was years ago when that was announced. But I'm pretty sure they're going to make a 13th movie to make 13.
Oh, they have to.
I think it would probably end the whole series as a whole, even reboot whatever, but, like, bring back all the survivors and finish it.
It's a good idea.
Because, like, yeah, they're older, they're going to have kids, so they're going to be able to fill the gaps, dude. It's been 40 years since the original, and you've got enough material in between to, like, fill the gaps.
So you mean they're going to retcon all those sequels?
They should.
I think they should.
There's a few gems in there.
Oh, yeah, I'm saying there's a few, like how Halloween had a few gems, but they still jumped from 78 to 2018, so it eliminated everything.
Yeah. And Colin, you and I actually saw the theatrical version, the original Friday the 13th, for the 40th anniversary in theaters.
Yes.
That was cool.
And Jeff had the pleasure to see Friday the 13th, the extended edition, in drive-ins.
Yeah, honestly, like, it was the first time they called it, I think, the UK edition. And then
Oh, wow.
for the 40th anniversary is when they called it the extended edition. I think you guys saw it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So it's like, you don't realize what's in it unless you've seen the movie, obviously. But it was like, as everything's happening, like, oh shit, I don't remember this. Like, I've seen the movie several times because I love it. And then all of a sudden you're seeing, like, they make Alice a hell of a lot smarter than the original cut. Because they cut so much out that, like, oh yeah, she's just a dumb bitch. And this one, they're like, oh shit, she actually goes and investigates stuff. She actually tries to hide better. And I'm like, wow, this actually makes the movie even better. I was like, I don't say that much about extended cuts.
Well, most of the time they really don't do much to add any more depth to what it actually is. It's just kind of like, oh, here's a few extended scenes, and most of the time on Blu-rays or DVDs they make a big deal about them, and you're just like, who cares?
It's a high body count franchise. That's what it is. And apparently it's 137 people that die in this entire saga.
You need to bump that up a little more.
Well, they will with the next movie, I'm
Yes.
sure. Get it to 150 or more.
Those are rookie numbers. They need to bump them numbers up.
Yeah.
Rookie numbers, I'm pretty sure that's the highest body count of any franchise that has ever happened, ever.
But,
Well, we got a brutal motherfucker in it, that's why.
yeah.
Well, we've got multiple guys that are trying to be brutal motherfuckers, but there's really only one, and that's Kane Hodder.
Oh, Kane's the man.
Oh, absolutely.
There have been some good ones here and there.
Yeah.
Like
I
C.J.
really-
Graham in Part 6.
I really enjoy Derek Mears. So it's like
Derek Mears, yes.
they've got the intimidation factor because they're really tall and big, but dude, they got hearts of gold. Like,
Yeah.
Mhm.
it is amazing when you actually get to talk to these monsters.
Oh, yeah. I mean, Jeff and I know firsthand the kind of guy Kane Hodder really is.
I'm sure. I mean, these other Jasons, I felt like a lot of the characters in these installments could have easily gotten away from Jason, but if Kane Hodder puts his mitts on you, you're dead. You're fucking done.
Literally.
So that guy, that busboy in Part 8 who got thrown across the restaurant, he's the luckiest bastard alive because he can confidently say he survived Kane Hodder's Jason.
And then he actually became Kane Hodder.
Yeah.
Or not Kane Hodder.
Twice.
Jason. Yeah. Which is kind of funny. Like, if
Yeah.
you think about it, like, them actually reusing a stunt guy to become Jason in a later installment is actually more funnier than being like, oh, by the way.
Yeah.
But I guess, well, we should start. Like, obviously start at the beginning, but
We got to start somewhere.
yeah.
Oh, let's talk about the franchise and why we started to talk about it. It was because we were talking about Evil Dead, the franchise, and then we talked about Halloween, and just off the record, we were talking about Friday the 13th, and it was actually you, Jeff, that said, you know, I wouldn't mind talking about Friday the 13th.
And in November, we've got Friday the 13th coming up. I think every year there's 2 Friday the 13ths. I think there's 2. There's at least 1. But this November, we've got one.
All right.
Yeah.
That was actually the reason I was pushing for it, because I'm like, I knew that there was a Friday the 13th coming up. I figured the best way to put this out.
This is actually one of the first franchises that I was really familiar with growing up as a kid. I think it was because of the hockey mask being so iconic. And at the time, I think it was even before, but I got a little more familiar with the character when that movie Jason Goes to Hell was coming out.
Oh, fuck.
Just because it was advertised. And then as a kid, I'm like, what is this? And what's the deal with the hockey mask? And my mom and dad actually, like years ago on a date, they went and saw one of the Friday the 13th movies that first came out. And they were telling me all about it. And, you know, this is the early 90s, all right?
Yeah.
I'm a little
Yeah.
kid, and they're telling me all about Friday the 13th. It was hilarious.
I think it was me walking in Blockbuster, and I just happened to come across that VHS copy of Jason Goes to Hell.
Oh my god,
It was so intimidating, but I wanted to watch it just because of the cover art. And now you realize when you see it, good God, run for your life.
dude, the Blockbuster section of Friday the 13th and Nightmare on Elm Street was the best section.
Dude, the cover art on both those series are really cool.
Exactly. You would see those covers on those VHS cassettes, and you were like, oh my god, I gotta see this. Little did we know that you didn't have to see all of them.
Dude, I'm still considering buying the new box set, even though I don't need it.
That's right. There's a new box set.
But you know what? Here, the first time I actually got introduced to Friday the 13th was actually on a bus trip in Florida to church. I had a kid explaining the whole series to me up to that point. So that was what? Probably like 92, 93. So that I don't think 9 had happened yet. So everything up to 8. So he's explaining everything up to me. And I'm like, what? 6 at the time? 6, 7? And I'm going, holy cow, I got introduced to this so young. I was like, man, I really want to check this out.
I think the first movie I did see was Part 8, where he goes to Manhattan.
Which is probably the most ridiculous one.
Goes to Manhattan. Doesn't exactly take over Manhattan, which is what should have happened. In fact, he could probably take over Manhattan now.
Oh, yeah.
The streets are pretty empty. If you want to make a fan film, which there are plenty of Friday the 13th fan films out there, make a movie that's suitable to Part 8. Make a fan film where he's in New York right now, taking over empty streets and just murdering a bunch of people, or he's hanging out in Central Park. Make it happen.
If there are people in New York anymore.
This is true. Like I said, it wouldn't be a fight. He could just take it right now.
Yes.
Yeah, hands down, no. But, and then, what is it? Then after that, pretty much it was the trailers for 9. Pretty much, like, exploding everywhere, making it seem like that movie's an amazing movie. And I probably didn't see it till almost, like, 5 years later. But it's kind of cool, like, being introduced to this stuff early on, and then, like, as you're getting older, you're starting to realize, like, the people that are wearing the masks are actually just as cool as the characters they're playing.
Mm-hmm.
So
Easily. Especially with thanks to conventions.
Or they get them lined up. They actually have a lot of Jasons in one panel together, which is
Yeah.
kind of cool.
And they answer all sorts of Q&As. That's always a lot of fun. Sometimes the Q&As are just as much fun as actually meeting the actors and hearing them talk to you individually. I mean, of course, you get that intimate setting, but when they give you like an hour, hour and a half, 2 hours, and they're just talking nonstop and they're answering questions and listening to what you have to say, it's actually really cool to hear them talk about that sort of stuff.
Gotcha.
But I gotta say, I really enjoy Friday the 13th a lot. I think it's a lot of fun, and a lot of the reasons is because I think it takes place in a great atmosphere. I always love the woods. I never went to a summer camp. I think the only camp I ever went to was 6th grade camp, and that was a mandatory thing for for 6th graders. But I grew up around the mountains, and I grew up around a lot of like woodsy and farm type atmospheres and stuff like that, so I can relate to it. Plus, being in the football and bodybuilding and pro wrestling, I was always like, yo, Jason's cool because he's the big hulking guy, and his deaths were like a lot of fun, even though in Freddy vs. Jason they tried to say that he has no style, he doesn't kill people. I'm like, no, he's got some flash and pizzazz to him.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, he's a hulking monster. Most of his kills, yes, the machete's the most iconic, but he uses his hands a lot.
Well, he does. That's where he's the most terrifying, in my opinion. Especially the kill in part 4 where he bursts through the shower door and crushes that guy against the tile.
No. Part 3, where he squeezes the dude's head so hard that the eyeball pops
That's so
out.
dumb.
And it's in
No.
3D.
I'm gonna go with was it 7, where they crush the skull from top to bottom,
Oh, yeah!
Mm.
and it actually oozes.
Yeah, that was a brutal one,
That was
too.
glorious.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the other fun thing about these movies is the special effects that they do. People bitch and complain like, oh, there's so many of them, they're so stupid, and yes, there are a fair amount of stupid ones, but when you can make them for peanuts, and then you made millions of dollars off of it, hey, why not?
I think the franchise has grossed close to $1 billion. I think it's close to $1 billion, or maybe it's
with
over
the
$1 billion.
evolution
With
of
all of them, yeah.
with VHS tapes and DVDs and now Blu-ray and 4K, the re-releases. Never mind like the other merchandise that's come out now. I mean, hell, in the late 90s, McFarlane Toys started making all like the famous horror iconic characters. And now you got other toy companies like NECA that are replicating the hockey mask to like actual movie type, prop replica form. And then you got so many of these other Jason figures. I mean, we didn't have that as a kid growing up.
No, we didn't.
I wanted them bad, though.
Yeah. Now that we're adults, I think I own now a hockey mask and I think 2 Jasons.
Yeah.
I know I have at least 1 Jason and a hockey mask. Oh, I do have a real machete because of it.
Yeah, you do. We've used it. And Jeff, do you have 1 Jason tattoo or 2?
I've got 2. I've
You've
got
got 2.
the hockey mask on my left wrist, and then I have Jason from 7. Probably my favorite scene out of the movie when he hits that bitch in the face with the axe and throws her. And I got that scene on my leg.
That's awesome.
I also find the movies inspirational as a filmmaker because they do seem like they're so easy to film. And what they did and the makeup effects, because even famous makeup artist Tom Savini, he was the one who started it all.
Yeah, part 1.
Essentially, he is Jason's father.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, I think so, yeah. He came back to part 4 as well to do the gruesome violence in part 4 that had some pretty graphic kills in that one. But I think his talent alone just elevated the first movie on so many levels.
It's one of the things they talk about the most.
Mm-hmm. And what he was able to do and create all these prosthetic heads and this realistic gore effect. It's so neat that when you look at Kevin Bacon's death, how his body is through the bunk bed, and then they built, what was it, like a plastic neck or like a fake neck? That's
just
the
an
upper torso area. So it really looks like he's getting a spear through his neck. But that's just a guy underneath blowing oxygen, so it shoots the blood out as the spear's turning and working its way around. This is actually how I was introduced to the franchise. As a kid, I saw that death, and I saw the girl get the axe through the head. But I kind of cowered because I didn't know what I was looking at, and it took me several years to realize, oh, you just watched Friday the 13th, the first one. And that's kind of how I got started with the franchise. I actually kind of saw from a distance the first movie. Because as a kid, I was terrified. I thought people were being killed on camera for real. That's how good it was. And
that's why it's so much fun and it's so interesting to watch it, especially for a little kid. Because you want to be like, well, how are they doing it? How are they dying? How is it looking? Does it look real?
Mm-hmm.
Like when I first heard my mom and dad tell me about the dude who got his head popped and the eye comes out, I'm like, yo, I want to see that. That's in a movie? I'm like, yeah, I want to see that shit.
It was that, and also the musical score composed by Harry Manfredini, who I don't think this score gets enough credit, especially with the iconic it just there's a lot of, it's really intense too, especially when the people start getting died. You have the violin going nuts, making these really ear-splitting sounds as people are getting murdered. It's really bone-chilling.
There's actually a documentary on the 40th anniversary where he's talking about the music alone. He said he only wrote music for when the killer is there. The rest of the movie has none.
I noticed that.
Interesting.
Should we reveal the killer right away, or just kind of play off of it first till we talk about the movie more?
We're going to play off it for a little bit.
All right, so like every time the killer showed up, you would actually get music. So if another person was there and they only did like the POV shot, they didn't play the music at all. So even at the ending when the reveal of... Never mind, I can't tell you. So even with the reveal
the killer.
The reveal the other killer, they actually play music during that sequence too. So it's all dealing with who the killer is where they're playing music.
Okay.
And he kept the rest of it just kind of like the sounds of the outdoors.
Interesting.
And I didn't notice it until after the fact. I was like, I would have never even thought about it like that.
Yeah.
Like, I just thought, like you guys said, like the music is just more of like an intense hit as you're watching a murder happen.
I remember I noticed it not to the scale of detail that you said, where when it's just a killer, the music hits, because I just remember watching that first movie and being all into it. But I remember there was a lot of nothing. And at some points to me, especially when you're a little kid, you think it's kind of boring. But then after the end came in, you're like, oh my god. Like, yo, this is like one of the greatest endings ever.
I know,
and it is, like the very, very end.
Yeah.
We'll get to that soon.
I know when we watched it, the 40th anniversary in theaters, I couldn't help but think back to
You
that
walked
quote.
into the wrong auditorium.
There were two auditoriums.
I knew you were bringing that up.
There was a big theater, and then there was a small condensed theater that had maybe 3 people in it. Colin, where are you at, buddy? Wait a minute. What's going on here? I'm not sitting in this one. I realize that there's a bigger one. I see the text message on my phone saying, John, I'm in the bigger screen.
And to be fair, though, it was only advertised in one screen.
Yeah, and they decided to split into 2.
Yeah, so...
They didn't exactly have their shit together.
But it is a funny story.
It was pretty funny. I couldn't help but notice a couple things I didn't notice before, and that was the quote that you talked about with Sean S. Cunningham saying, yeah, we kind of ripped off Halloween. We just wanted to rip it off. I couldn't help but notice that, especially with the POV in the very beginning, where in Halloween you've got Judith Myers getting stabbed, and then you have the one counselor going, well, we weren't doing nothing. We were just, ugh. I couldn't help but just notice that. Also, this is, maybe I'm thinking too much into this, but the guy that gets killed in Friday the 13th, I wonder if he was the guy that was making love to that one chick when Jason was drowning, because he's hanging out with another chick upstairs in like the attic area, but she talks about another girl. I'm thinking, wait a minute, are you just playing the field and you're hanging out with this girl, but you banged another chick, and that was last year when you were supposed to be watching Jason and he drowned because of you? I like to think that he was the one that was responsible, that he should have been watching the kids, and he was the first one that got it.
That's what I assume.
That's what I want to believe, and I assume as well. And then he was just hanging out with some other chick, and she just happens to meet her maker too.
Bummer.
Yeah, really. And also when
Are you
Alice...
really trying to psychoanalyze a fucking
I'm
horror
psychoanalyzing an 80s horror movie.
Yo, listen, we're talking about serial killer in a horror movie. That screams psychoanalyzing.
I'm just saying, is the killer really a serial killer or just more or less a
Nut
vengeful person?
Well, we'll get to that.
All the above.
Should we just dive right into the movie now?
I know, we keep like jumping around and
Yeah,
might as well just
all right.
start it
We need
off.
to start getting into these movies. We got 12 of them.
Okay, so, yes, as John mentioned earlier, this not Halloween, fuck!
Now you got him fucking doing it.
Yeah, thanks, John!
Halloween was last episode, or 2 episodes ago. Fuck off.
I set a bomb in your brain intentionally.
Where's Jason? Kill your ass. But Sean S. Cunningham, he was the director of Friday the 13th, the original, and he worked with Victor Miller, who was the screenwriter. And they came up with this idea, and he pitched, as John said, that they wanted to rip off Halloween.
That was a blatant quote I heard multiple times, and I'm like, it makes sense. The big hulking guy, slasher film. All right, cool.
Mm-hmm.
So in that sense, yeah, they stole a holiday. They have a slasher. I go, that sense you can see that definitely is a ripoff. But as a whole, as itself, I'm like, they really didn't rip it off because...
And that's another thing you mentioned when you talked about the title. Growing up, because I knew about Jason and Freddy, I thought the movies were actually called Jason, Freddy, especially because, like I said, growing up, Part 8, it was the only one that was on TV all the time. That's why I knew it. And that's how I got to see it.
Well, to be fair, that one is called, was it Jason Takes
Jason
Manhattan?
Takes Manhattan.
Yeah.
So his name's in the title.
Yeah.
And then when I heard that the movie's called Friday the 13th, I'm like, what the hell does that have to do with Jason? I'm like, this doesn't make any friggin' sense to me. But for the original movie, it was called Friday the 13th because they wanted something different. And like you said, it was a quote-unquote holiday. I mean, it's really the triskaidekaphobia.
It's taboo. Bad
Yeah.
mojo.
You never heard that before?
No, just the fact that you had to throw it in there, like, threw my brain off, like...
Oh, wow. I threw Jeff for a zinger.
Yeah, I was like, I was not expecting that to come out of your mouth.
Hey, fuck you, man.
Flipping them off with those hairy knuckles.
Yeah.
Fuck you for that. Can you talk to me without moving your hands for once?
No, then I just stopped talking.
Where's the fun in that?
Anyway. Where were we?
You're talking about Sean S. Cunningham.
Oh, Sean was
Ripping
ripping
off,
off. Yeah, I said
Halloween.
triskaidekaphobia. Fuck you again, Jeff. All right.
Anyway.
So we're going on. They wanted to change it up and have it take place at a camp that was something more relatable, and they also wanted it to be more distant so that they're not around adult supervision. And that was where the concept came from. And I think they had the cop show up at one point just to be like, hey, I'm a cop, but I'm here, but I'm leaving.
Yeah, pretty much stop fucking around and be safe. I'm out. As the guy fucking almost eats it on that bike.
Yeah.
Oh, he almost collapsed. I think he did fall, didn't he?
Yeah, he did.
And then you got Ralph on his bicycle
Oh my god.
to tell everybody that you're all doomed if you stay here. Really funny character actor. I know he passed away a couple of years ago, but he kind of sets the tone. Also, the weather plays a big factor in this movie, especially since they always associate with Jason's family, his mother or him, as an element of nature, where every time something catastrophic is happening in nature, it's kind of foreshadowing the doom or the fate of the counselors or the people in the movie. So that's kind of cool to think about because there is a pretty nasty rainstorm that takes place during this movie.
I'm not gonna lie, I never made that correlation because like it's all nice and sunny up to that moment, like when they're fixing the cabins and everything like that, and it wasn't until almost the first kill is when the storm rolls in.
Mm-hmm.
I'll lie. There's what's her name? Annie is the first kill.
Annie, yes, Annie.
Yeah, so like when you introduce her, it's bright and sunny, and then all of a sudden it's like she's driving. She's a hitchhiker. I just thought of the whole sequence of yelling at you while watching the movie. Sorry. All right, to catch you guys up, we had a conversation about a month ago about where Jason was from. This asshole over here, John, was like, "Hey, he's from Massachusetts." Colin and I, like, lost our goddamn minds because it's like, where
Through
the
text messages.
Yeah, where the fuck did you find this? And then also, like, I even screenshot and cut out everything just to prove where Crystal Lake is at.
The cemetery.
And then, while I'm watching the movie, I take a shot of the movie where it has the truck that says New Jersey and the cemetery that says fucking New Jersey in it.
So you're telling me the internet lied to me?
Well, then on top of it, I asked you, where did you get Massachusetts from? And you said the internet. And so I Google it right away. And the first thing that I found was New Jersey.
So
And it was a different screenshot of what Jeff had. So I screenshotted that on the first fucking page and sent that as well.
The internet lied to me when I was 15 years old looking about horror movies?
Dude,
Oh,
you're
yeah.
just about 30. That's 15 years ago. Telling me you haven't looked it up since?
Jason's just a kid from Jersey.
No wonder he doesn't talk.
It was a Boy Scout camp too. I think the actual location was a Boy Scout camp. And that was kind of neat that I found out in the Crystal Lake Memories, which is this very extensive documentary about the entire saga of Friday the 13th. It's 7 hours long, and it's split into 2 parts on Vudu. If you want to power through the whole thing, by all means, go for it.
It's an amazing documentary. Yeah. I mean, if you love Friday the 13th, fucking watch Crystal Lake Memories.
I think the best part is probably talking about the first movie, and as you're like branching out, you're starting to see how many people have played Jason, what they did to get to this point. And I powered through it on Monday because Lexi was sick, and I was like, I gotta stay home now.
What to do?
Yeah.
And we get to learn about the origin of Jason in Friday the 13th, as a first movie normally should. But the way the movie was structured was there's a killer around, and we don't know what the motive is until the very end of the film.
Yeah.
And it even takes place in 1958, and we find out later on that Jason had drowned as a boy the year prior.
Yeah, so it was 57.
And then it makes another jump, and I believe it does go straight to 1980.
It does.
After that.
Yep.
At that time, it's his present time because it was released in 1980 as well.
Mm-hmm.
So it was kind of cool going, all right, this is what the original killing was, and now you're going to see what's going to happen. Was that 22 years later?
Mm-hmm. It also gave us some time gap because the Camp Crystal Lake owner's name was Steve Christie in the movie, and they talked about how the murder that happened in 1958 shut the camp down, and then he wanted to rebuff it and rebuild it, and that's where he came back into play, and that's where all these other, I guess you could call them counselors?
Yeah. They're counselors. They're getting ready for the season.
Okay.
And they were talking about when you meet Annie, they go to the store. She's trying to get a ride to the camp, and they actually explain that a cop and Ralph that prior years they tried to reopen the camp and bad things happened, like somebody poisoned the water, stuff like that. So the fires. So like this killer is still trying to keep from this camp opening. Yeah. And then once you get introduced to Annie, they kind of like lead that up to show like, yeah, stuff was still happening up to this point. And then she gets a ride out there, and she's still hitchhiking, and then you get a Jeep that pulls up. Don't show you the driver, nothing. She gets in, all happy. And then all of a sudden, she's like, all right, drop me off right here. The Jeep keeps going.
So speeding up.
Yeah, and then speeds up. Then Annie jumps the fuck out of the car and tries running away.
I mean, wouldn't you? I would.
And then all of a sudden, the killer stops the car and then starts chasing her through the woods. I'm like, all right.
Yeah.
And then you got one of the coolest kills that you see in the movie.
I would say technically the first kill of the 1980s.
This is true, yeah. Because it came out in February, I think, in 1980.
No, June.
June? Okay.
Yeah.
It came out in June, okay.
And then it's actually a really nice kill. It's a really, like, almost cool kill because of it being, like, straight across the screen, and you think that she's okay. All of a sudden you see the line appear, and then the blood was...
I thought she was okay.
Yeah, you don't even see the blade go touch skin. You don't see anything, and you just see a body move. And then that was it. And I'm like...
Like, oh, did they just freak her out?
Yeah.
You know, she's going to go back and warn everybody.
Yeah.
Nope. And then she just, like, lifts her neck up very subtly, and then it just oozes all out. Mm-hmm. And it was, like, that perfect ooze, you know, just, like, straight line.
Yeah, she had to tilt her head up in order to sell it, to open the wound and have the blood come out.
It was so cool. That still looks good today.
A lot of it looks good today.
Oh, hell yeah.
And then there's the... Mrs. Voorhees, Betsy Palmer, who did an amazing job playing the killer in the movie.
Dirty motherfucker. You revealed it too early.
Yeah, dude, we didn't get to...
Oh, come on. It's 40 years. We already know this. If you haven't seen this movie by then... God damn you. I mean, her head being held up with toothpicks.
Yeah, you find out later on that when you get to the last counselor that Mrs. Voorhees comes into place, as John said, played by Betsy Palmer. Very well done, by the way. I mean, nobody really talks about that from her and how good she was. And I think it was Harry Manfredini who said that if you ever notice her in her performance, she's crazy, she knows it, and she doesn't care.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. And the fact that, like, it's all justified craziness. Like, the killing's not justified, don't get me wrong, but her craziness is totally justified. Like, come on, finding out your kid got drowned, and then because the camp counselors aren't paying attention... Yeah, dude, I would have been fucking pissed, man. Like,
and then And then on top of that, the camp's still open.
Yeah.
Like, my kid just fucking drowned, and not even a sympathy card. What the fuck?
I like, even as a parent now, I would be even more enraged. Like, I would fight the whole camp.
And a kid, and we find out Jason. It's not explained in the movie, but you find out Jason is a kid with a deformity.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, and you know the way how teenagers can be as well, the kids that are different. Probably like, oh, fuck that kid.
Yeah. They bullied the shit out of him. That was actually the one thing I identified with, because like when I was younger, I was bullied. I've also been on the other side of the card where I grew out of it and then became a bully and then realized I wasn't a fucking idiot. But like that's why I identified with Jason so much when I was younger, because like being bullied, you realize like there's nobody there sometimes, no matter how much you talk about it.
I think that was one problem with the movie that I didn't like, was that they should have explained Jason a little more.
Oh yeah.
To like really feel for him, because you don't get that like, you know, you kind of have to, like you said, you have to feel for Betsy Palmer after you think about it. Because you're just seeing her killing these people, and really, the counselors aren't bad kids in that movie who are renovating the camp. Like, there's Bill, who's kind of hitting on Alice. That's Alice, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And there's Steve Christie, who's also putting the moves on her,
Steve,
too.
he's a pig. And the one girl who, she wasn't with Kevin Bacon, but she died in the archery.
Oh, I don't remember her name.
I don't remember her name, but you could tell she was kind of like the one who overlooked
almost like the mother figure.
Yeah, and you could tell like they were just all like good kids. There was the one dude who was annoying, but he wasn't an asshole. I mean, we all have like a goofball in the group, but they all like weren't bad people.
They just had to be at the wrong place at the wrong time. Like,
yeah,
literally.
Yeah.
But like even after like the first kill. Like, all right, that kind of sets the tone now. So it's like, as John was saying, like the camp counselors are there getting everything ready. Kevin Bacon and the other girl, I can't remember her name, Marcy, go off and do their thing, smoke weed, and then the storm's rolling in. You're seeing the lightning, so it's like, yeah, it's building up now. And then you get the Kevin Bacon kill, one of the most iconic kills because of the arrow coming through. I remember even in the documentary, Tom Savini said they messed up with that one because the hose came off the pump, so. What's his name?
Tazo.
I was thinking Tonto. That's horrible. Excuse me. So they decided to just blow into it just to push the blood out, and ends up making like air bubbles. So it actually makes it look like he's breathing through the arrow's blood coming out. As I'm like making the gestures with my hands. And then Marcy is in the bathroom, and that's actually like one of the most frightening scenes, because as Betsy Palmer is now messing with her, she opens the curtain and turns around, and the axe is coming down. It actually hits the light to show that it's a real axe.
Yeah.
And then boom, right in their head. And I was like, that was actually like one of the most impressive things for them to do, because yeah, it's a fake head, but it's a real axe.
Well, I think they said they had a fake head with a real axe, and then they had the actress and a fake axe then. And they used the real axe hitting the light because they thought it looked better and more effective than the fake head. So when they hit the light, that insinuated that it hit her in the face with like a full force, and you saw that it was a real axe. And then when you saw the axe in the face, it was a real face with a fake axe, and you're like, oh, okay.
Still, it was like I said, a really almost terrifying scene, because like she's very vulnerable, like literally in a t-shirt and underwear, and like no way to protect herself.
And it was a surprise kill too, because you just see the shadow of the axe at first.
That was really cool image.
Yeah. I mean, there were really well-made shots and keeping the killer in the shadows, and you kind of think it's a man, because when you see Annie get the throat cut with the knife, they look like man hands even then, too.
It might be, I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, probably.
We'll save that reveal for later, John.
You will, yes. Because according to Stu from Scream, it takes a man to do something like that. So it has to be a man.
When really it was probably just because they only got Betsy Palmer for the ending.
That I can believe.
Yeah.
Let's say even, I'm trying to think like all the kills that happened up to that point. So like the other counselors are playing strip Monopoly. I can't remember the one kid's name, Tonto, but
sit on it, Tonto.
Bill.
He gets killed.
No, that's not Bill. Bill's
with the arrows.
Yeah. Oh,
That's
yeah.
Bill. Yes.
When I'm thinking about the other kid, the annoying one with
Yeah,
the
he had an
headdress.
Indian headdress on.
He got his throat slit. He was
Yeah.
on the bunk bed above
Yeah.
Kevin Bacon and Marcy getting it on.
And then the fact that they didn't even show it, he just kind of disappears. Like, oh, the annoying one's gone. Oh, no, too bad. All right, anyway. So then, like, the other cancelers are playing strip Monopoly. What's the woman's name that gets killed in the archery? I'm horrible
Brenda.
at names. I'm sorry.
Her name is Brenda.
So, like, even that scene where the arrow comes in and they kill her with the arrows, I think it was Tom Savini taking the shots because he's actually a really good archer.
Oh,
I didn't know that.
Yeah, like, they were saying, like, him and Tazo were actually on set just playing with
The bow and arrow.
bow and arrow
Okay.
because they were bored. So, like, if they needed to set up a shot, all right, they're out there doing that, whatever, waiting for them to set the shot up, and then they come over and set their stuff up.
I've always wondered that because when they actually show the arrow going in the archery scene, I'm thinking, like, this is an independent movie, so
Yeah.
it's not like they
Yeah.
got a professional.
But if Tom Savini's a good archer, then it doesn't surprise me if it was him who took the shot, and then the actor, they pan over to him.
Yeah.
Oh, it was me.
They just showed him, like, loading it, and then they like, all right, we'll have...
We'll have a professional shoot the arrow.
Because, like, I think the guy said, how close can you guys shoot? And he's like, it's setting up, like, cans and stuff, and he's shooting the cans like it's nothing, and they're like, all right.
Oh, that's really cool.
And they're like, just don't hit her.
Yeah.
Well, otherwise, we got a lawsuit in our hands.
She gets hit with the arrows, and you really don't find out what happens to Bill until later in the movie. And he's covered in arrows, has a rope around his neck. I think his throat's slit on top of it. Like, they made sure
they
to show,
really
like, this
mutilated
motherfucker got it.
I didn't know this was Harry Crosby, who's the son of legendary singer Bing Crosby.
Yep.
That's
I thought that was awesome, yeah. And then at this whole time, this is where I was saying, like, you get to finally see in the extended cut, like, Alice was actually looking at what happened to the generator, what happened to Bill, and she was actually trying to figure out what the fuck is going on. And then Mr. Christie comes back during this whole fucking shenanigans, and he gets out of the car, and all of a sudden he sees the killer. He starts talking to them like he's met him before. And all of a sudden, like, he gets stabbed into the stomach. I almost sit there, I'm like, wait, what? You actually knew this person?
Yeah. The owner knew the killer.
Yeah.
It's like, so are they working together? I know. It's
Yeah.
like, holy fuck.
Mind blown type moment because, like, this is the first time you're seeing that the killer getting recognized and the person more in shock they just got fucking stabbed at the same time.
That would have been interesting if those two were in cahoots with one another.
I'm reopening this camp just for you. I'm gonna hire these assholes to die. Wait, does he have to pay them when they die? Like,
Maybe
He puts a sign up on a cabin for their name.
no money will go to
Loving
their
memory.
family. No money will go to their families or anything. No.
it's kind of morbid.
It's really morbid.
So then you find this out as Alice is like searching the camp for everybody else. She essentially is now the final girl. Yeah.
Yeah, she is.
Yeah, I was like thinking of that moment. So she's running outside. She finds Christy hanging from a tree with a knife in his stomach, and then she sees the Jeep. She gets inside, and then introduce Pamela Voorhees, who is this crazy bitch. But she plays it off well. Like when she first introduces herself, she's trying to like
Warm and inviting.
Console her.
like gain her gain her trust, and gets inside, and then all of a sudden you realize this crazy bitch is gonna kill her.
Yeah. Oh, and it is. It's like that little escalating kind of like, wait a minute. I thought this woman was cool.
Yeah, she has like this nice smile on. She's like, I'm Pamela Voorhees. I'm the friend of the Christies, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, yo, wait a second here.
Yeah. And which is funny because the Jeep, it's like you can still see the Jeep even though it's dark out and I remember thinking,
Put two and two together.
How the
Come on.
fuck did I not? I mean, anybody could have had a Jeep, but yet the Jeep is significant in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
And then you get this cool game of cat and mouse between the two. Like, Alice goes to run and hide. Pamela Voorhees just instantly finds her.
But
And-
you got to remember that she explained why she was doing the killing because
It's that moment. where
Jason is her son.
and today is his birthday. That's when you realize, shit, I need to get out of here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like, as she's explaining why Jason had drowned, game counselors were lazy assholes doing whatever the fuck they wanted to, and then you start realizing this woman's fucking nuts, and then that's when the game of cat and mouse begins.
Mm-hmm.
I think one of the coolest scenes, she goes to hide in the kitchen in the pantry, and like I said, instantly finds her. So she's like jiggling the handle. All of a sudden, she's like, "Fuck it!" Starts bashing the door in to get to Alice. I'm like, "Holy crap, man!"
I did think that it was dragged on a little too long, but I can tell the reason why they were probably doing that is to elongate the runtime. They were trying to get this to at least be 90 minutes. Even there were some shots where nothing's really happening. She decides to make tea when Bill's out there trying to fix the generator.
Yeah.
Shouldn't you be out there with him to do something? You're just making tea and you're falling asleep on a couch. I did think they dragged on the cat and mouse sequence a little too much. I was reminded by Halloween a couple times.
No, the difference between this and Halloween, you've got a bitch slap from around the world multiple times. That one is like gonna go down in history as the bitch slap of all bitch slaps.
Multiple bitch slaps.
Dude, she like wheels back, cracks Alice in the face several times. I'm like, this is almost a fist fight.
She actually hit her for real.
When I heard that, I lost it because like she starts crying, going, "Sean, she actually hit me." I'm like, oh my god, really?
But that's what we do on stage. No. In film, we have to act this out. We do a stage slap. I know you're a Broadway actress, Betsy Palmer, but for film's sake, we're going to do a stage slap.
And like that whole sequence is like, it shows like, even as Friday the 13th as a whole, they have a lot of strong female actors and actresses in there.
They do.
Leads. Like Betsy Palmer and Alice alone being the strongest beginning of this whole franchise.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't know it was a franchise. But having those two really strong female leads was actually really cool. And finding out that the killer is a female, it makes it even better.
I thought that was what made this movie absolutely awesome.
Yeah, and like
I remember when I first found out that the mom, because I'm thinking it's Jason, like all Jason. You know, my mom and dad had seen, I think it was part 3, and we knew about the hockey mask and all that other shit, but they didn't tell me the origin.
Oh yeah.
And then when I remember my dad, he actually bought me the first movie, and I watched it and I saw the end, and he's seen it, he knew about it, but he never told me anything, nor did my mom. And then after I watched it, I remember he goes, "So now you know how it all started." And I was like, yeah. It blew my mind.
Yeah. Like,
There was no hockey mask in it, no Jason except for the little flashbacks. And it has like one of the best endings in a horror movie. Like a suspense crime thriller, whatever you want to call it, mystery.
Whodunit?
Whodunit, yeah. I thought, damn, man, it was really well done.
Yeah, I'd say this was actually, out of the whole franchise, was probably the most well thought out, the most well shot, the sound, everything. I thought this one had the most put behind it, because like they thought about almost everything. To like, there's no real plot holes. There's no.
That's not up for debate. This definitely is the best one.
Yeah, like as I was rewatching it, I'm like, yo, this story alone is like really good, because like I was saying, like they tried to think of everything. They tried to fit it as a whole. Like they didn't know it was going to spawn a franchise. It was like, this might be a one-off. This might have a sequel. Well, let's do it as a one-off and then leave a little bit for a sequel.
Well, even Victor Miller said that in the original script, Jason was dead. Yeah. There was no two ways about it. He said there was nothing of a sequel in mind. It was the kid drowned, he died, that was it.
Yeah.
So this leads up to John's Harry Knuckles remark. As they're fighting, Alice gets a hold of a machete and she swings. She cuts Pamela Voorhees' head off. But you don't realize it, like it's a quick one-off, but as you look at the hands, there are some hairy knuckles.
And is that Tazo?
Yeah, that's Tazo.
That's Tazo, because Tom Savini's the one that swung the machete because he knew exactly where to strike the fake head.
And it was funny because, like, I didn't realize it. I've seen the movie several times until after watching the documentary. Rewatching it, you could just see it perfectly. I'm like, I lost it.
What first caught my eye years ago was the hands are so beefy.
Yeah.
It was hilarious in theaters because we just see the hand just like grasping at the screen. Everybody in the theater was laughing so much because it's like, no, I'm not going away. Oh.
They're like, damn you. You cut my head off.
But here's the thing. Like, after that, she pushes a fucking canoe out in the lake and passes out. My brain is like, call the motherfucking cops. Go do something. Don't just, I'm going to go hide in a canoe.
Get out of there.
In a lake.
The threat's over. Get out of there.
And then that leads up to, they call it a dream sequence. It could be like it happened. You see Jason pop out. Like a 8-year-old Jason.
Well, let's build up the scene. So the morning happens, and Alice is waking up, and you see two cops pull up. I think it's two cops in one car.
It's two cops in one squad car.
And she's the music's playing. It's all like a real somber, very melodic moment. She's even thinking, oh, the cops are here. I'm saved. I'll explain everything. She dips her hand in the water. Everything's this. I mean, even the atmosphere is this nice, beautiful imagery.
It's a nice sunrise too. Like the way
Everything.
they shot it.
It's like a very beautiful shot. And then boom, it's like the best jump scare of like any horror movie probably.
It got the audience.
Yeah, it's the perfect effective jump scare. And they said this wasn't even written in the movie. It was just like an idea that they thought of where they said, "Yo, wouldn't it be something if the audience thinks it's over, the music's playing, she's at peace, the cavalry's here, and then what if like we get, I don't know, Jason to just pop out of the water and get her?"
Yeah.
And it was like, holy fuck. Yeah, because nobody would expect that. They're thinking the kid's dead, which he is. He's dead. And then like when he pops up, he's all covered in like slime and goo, and oh man, it's like a slow motion, and you hear him roar, just like oh! And there's always something so creepy about that surprise attack and being dragged into some place, and oh man,
pulled under the water.
Yeah. Which is scary enough too, because you don't know what kind of force is grabbing you, and if you're gonna survive getting out of that, you drown and whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And then she wakes up in the hospital, and the cop's like, "We didn't find anybody. There was no kid in the lake." But she goes, "She's still out there."
Mm-hmm.
But the funniest thing about that whole sequence, the dude that plays Jason has now made a fucking career out of being 2 seconds into that fucking movie. Was it Ari Lehman?
Yeah.
He's got a goddamn band called First Jason.
Oh my god!
I'm like, he's like fucking straight up still like going, "I'm the first Jason," blah blah. I'm like, listen, you didn't even know that you were gonna be in a franchise. You were pretty much a dream sequence. So how the fuck are you gonna be like, "I'm First Jason"?
So you're not even real.
Yeah. And I go, at this point, I'm so pissed off at this guy. I would have rathered Sean Cunningham's son play the part, because at least he's still dealing with the Jason movies. The other guy, not so much.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to conventions with him.
I don't give a flying fuck, alright? You're in the movie for 2 seconds. It doesn't give you any credit.
Well, Sean Cunningham's wife, you can thank for that, because she was the one who said, "You're not going in, your father's stupid movie."
Yeah. I did ask Alexi if I did that with Thea. She goes, "Are you fucking out of your mind?"
That's like being as credible as Tony Moran being Michael Myers in Halloween with a mask off. we don't go to conventions for Tony Moran. We go to conventions for Nick Castle.
It's true.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not gonna deny that.
It's the same situation. But yeah, Friday the 13th, and it was a huge box office hit. It made $59 million. I think at the time. It's grossed a lot more than that since then with re-releasing and everything. But I'm going to say one thing right now. And this is about the critical reception. I get why critics universally panned the movie at the time. I get that. There's a moment where critics, you're respected, your opinions are respected. You are entitled to that. That's fine. Everybody's got their own opinion about something. But there is a moment when critics cross the line. And that's exactly what Gene Siskel did with Friday the 13th. He loathed the movie so much, not only did he not respect the audience, he ruined the twist in his review.
Oh,
and
fuck.
Yes, he also gave out Betsy Palmer's personal address to everybody so that they could go and condemn her.
Wait, was that Gene Siskel?
That was Gene Siskel who did this.
Okay, I remember hearing a critic did it, but I thought it was somebody else.
That was Gene Siskel who gave out Betsy Palmer's personal information in a newspaper to everybody so that they could trash her. Dude,
damn.
Wow.
Gene Siskel, I know you're a legend and everything, but in that moment, I hope to God you apologize for what you did, because if you didn't, fuck you and the bus you came off of, man. That's not cool. You crossed the line big time. That's not what a critic does. That's you being a petty child. Seriously.
That is pathetic.
What did Betsy Palmer ever do to you? What did anybody in that franchise do to you? They're just making a movie, and you had to take it a step further. That's not cool, man.
No,
you can say, well, this movie didn't deserve to be made, like I spit on your grave. There's no purpose for this movie being made. Dude.
There's a lot of movies that sometimes don't deserve to be made.
You overstepped your boundary, and that's disgusting. I don't care. that you're a professional critic. You're entitled to your opinion, but you crossed the line, and that's not cool. That really pissed me off when I found out about that. She did nothing to you. Nobody in this franchise did anything to personally attack you and your credibility, and you go and attack their credibility when you should be talking about the filmmaking on display. All you could talk about was not respecting the audience and ruining the ending for everybody.
Especially with, people are creeps, man. I mean, hell, Adrienne King, who played Alice, she said she had a stalker.
She did. For a year, she had a stalker.
So imagine if some nutbag from a fan base would have saw Betsy Palmer's address and went to her place, and that's not cool.
No, sir, that really got me. I'm actually kind of steaming a little bit.
Well, no,
right
you're
now.
right. You have every right to be like that, because that's private information, and it's not fair to the audience who would want to check it out, or somebody who said to, word of mouth, especially at that time, check out this movie Friday the 13th, and then here he is being an asshole, whether he likes it or not. It's like, dude, what are you doing?
Just give it your star rating and talk about the filmmaking. Actually be a critic and don't overstep your boundaries, which is what he did.
Yeah, that's wrong.
So
you don't do that.
Speaking of critical reception, I mean, none of these movies really got any sort of love from the critics whatsoever, and the filmmakers, they didn't care.
Well, you know what I say?
Whatever, yeah.
I'm sorry, the way you just flipped, it's like anger and then, all right. Anyway.
So, of course, this was going to get a sequel, but where were they going to take it? There was only one direction to take it in, and that's to basically feature an adult version of Jason in part 2.
But you forgot one main thing.
What did I forget?
Nobody actually remembered that Betsy Palmer was Pamela Voorhees, so everyone automatically thought Jason was the killer from the beginning. So even look at Scream, when they go, who was the killer in original Friday the 13th, and Drew Barrymore's like, it's Jason.
It's Jason.
So it proved that, they did their job of,
being effective.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's true. Now, I know with part 2, it's directed by a close friend of Sean F. Cunningham. It was Steve Miner, who directed one of my least favorite Halloween sequels, H2O. Steve Miner comes in and directs part 2. Young hotshot who was close to Sean S. Cunningham. Yeah, it just kind of felt like a retread of the first movie, almost beat for beat. But
yeah, there for a while it was.
I mean, I did like the idea that Jason didn't have a mask. He had a burlap sack, and he basically took a pillowcase from one of the cabins, I'm sure, and just cut eye holes in it, and there we go. It reminded me of that one movie, The Town That Dreaded Sundown, Killer in Texas, where he had a similar vibe. And I remember seeing that VHS cover. That kind of freaked me out, too. A guy wearing just a white sack, and there's no emotion. You can't see anything from him. But
it is creepy. I remember when I first saw Friday the 13th Part 2 on TV, and I didn't know about the sack. And my mom I think I was watching it with my mom, and she was the one who said, "Oh, that's Jason." And I was like what the hell's going on with this movie franchise? Because the first one, first of all, like I said, I didn't know that the title of the franchise was Friday the 13th. I didn't know Jason wasn't the killer in the first movie. And then the second one, he's got a sack on his face, and I'm like, what is this?
I think the best thing about 2 was, like you said, introducing Jason, but showing that, he's been living this whole time. I think they show him actually eating animals or finding carcasses of animals. But like you said, it's a retread, so they had to reopen another camp on the other side of the fucking lake. So they're going on from that. Mm-hmm. As they're introducing the camp counselors, I would say 97% are the most generic.
Oh yeah, I did like the final girl though, Amy Steele, who played Ginny. I thought she was a little bit more badass than Alice because she wasn't afraid to pick up a chainsaw and wield it, and she wasn't afraid to pick up a pitchfork and fight back against him on more than one occasion. A guy that's 3 times her size and using her wits, putting on the sweater that belonged to his mom.
Oh, hey, man, you're literally killing every movie. All right, Gene, calm yourself.
Yeah.
That's an insult.
Hey, you gotta build it up, John. I mean, come on. That was one of the best parts.
I'm excited. I'm getting excited, man.
You find out Jason was hiding out in a little cabin shack, and he had a little shrine of his mom with the head and the sweater on there.
That's neat. In fact, my favorite scene in that movie doesn't even involve so much Jason killing people. It's actually her moment in the bar with her friends talking about how, don't you think it's possible that Jason wouldn't have known about murder unless his mother was killed? He's probably right there crying for return or resurrection. Maybe he just needs some help. That was actually an impactful scene to me. I'm actually thinking about that scene more than I'm thinking about him going on a rampage, murdering counselor after counselor.
With the sequel, they have almost double the amount of counselors this time, so they're trying to make the body count bigger. Even starting off the movie, they showed Jason for the first time as actually a woman playing him, and you don't see, I guess, her. All you see is below the knee, and you just see the footsteps walking up to Alice's house. You see Alice kind of having almost PTSD, but it's literally supposed to be the next day, so it's Saturday the 14th. And she's in there all locking windows and stuff, and all of a sudden she walks in the kitchen and the window's open. And she gets stabbed in the fucking head. I'm like, really? It's kind of a lackluster end to the original Final Girl. I think even she was kind of pissed about it. So
she improv'd her entire scene. All of her work was improv. They didn't give her a script. They just said, here, show up on this mattress, start pretending to have a dream, and then have a phone conversation, and then see Jason's mother's head in your fridge, and then die.
Yeah, it was like they had an agenda just to tell a story, and it didn't involve her, or if they wanted to have her and they asked for too much money, which she's entitled to because she's part of a $1 million movie. So people are naturally that saw the original one are going to be like, yeah, if they're picking up with the hero, let's see what she does next. And then they said, no, we're not going to pay you because we just want to make this thing for dimes, and that's how the formula we're going to keep it.
Yeah,
I think she made out in the long run. She has her own winery company now, so it's what is it,
Isn't
Crystal
it
Lake something or another?
Crystal Lake? I don't know. It's
Crystal Lake is involved in the title.
Yeah, I forget what exactly it's called.
I was curious because I don't drink, but I was kind of curious to see how that tasted because why the hell not?
Wine.
Yeah, I'll drink it.
But so they show Alice's death, which kind of lackluster, so you're already starting off with that. And then it kicks over to the camp with, like I said, a whole bunch of new counselors. Mm-hmm. It's almost like, I'm trying to think, it's going to be for kids that aren't, I'm trying to think of the word, you know what I mean? Kind of sounds like misfits. It's the counselors that are like, all right, we're going to do training, we're going to do this. These kids are normally out here, so we're going to try to help them get better. I can't think of the word, I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm.
Why are you looking at me?
I don't know.
I thought you said that I didn't know triskaidekaphobia.
Come on, you went to summer camp?
Yeah.
I didn't go to summer camp.
I know. That's a joke.
But so, and then as they're introducing everybody, Amy Steele's character Jenny is the last one to show up in this old beat up jalopy of a bug, and he's like, you gotta get this piece of shit out of here. But you come to find out that the now camp runner and her kind of have a thing, and it's unnecessary. Obviously people are gonna hook up. And as it's going on, I think the only person to survive actually stays at the bar, and then that's it. He's like, well,
yeah.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
But even the kills in this movie, they tried to one-up it. So now that you've seen the killer, you know that it's a big hulking man with a bag over his head.
Using traps.
Yeah.
He uses traps to get people and uses the machete the wrong way.
Oh yeah, doesn't it have curve the opposite direction?
Yeah. Even with Jason, why not? Doesn't matter.
The one friend was like, dude, I think you are holding the machete the wrong way. You're cutting him with the blunt end and his neck is being slit.
I mean, the only kill that actually sticks out to me right now, well I should say two, is the couple having sex in the bed and uses the spear.
The shish kebab.
Yeah, and then the poor handicapt man getting the machete in the face and then pushed down the stairs. So
it's a good stunt though, him going down the stairs.
Mm-hmm.
So it's as a whole, the movie isn't going to stand out to you. So it's and plus the fact that 3 people had played Jason in it. You got the face of Jason, and then you got the stunt guy playing Jason, and then obviously the woman in the beginning. So, yeah.
Yeah, 2 really wasn't all that. I wouldn't say it was horrible compared to some of the other movies in the series. It was interesting to see where it picked up from the first one. Yeah, other than that, it really is just kind of like John said, a retread of the first one.
It really was.
The kills are pretty cool. Jeff mentioned the best ones. I think it was interesting to see the shack with the mom's head and the sweater and how Jenny, who's the final girl in that one, puts the sweater on to like try to pretend that she's Jason's mom. His ending is a little lackluster in itself. They just put a machete in his shoulder and he falls down. You think he's dead, and then surprise, he comes back and the sack's off his face. And
surprise, motherfucker.
It was actually a very controversial ending too, because it was played off almost like a dream sequence, and then she's wondering, where's Paul? Yes, where is he?
Yeah, the boyfriend.
Where is he? The final guy. He was surviving everything. What, is he dead now?
Yeah, at least the dog lived.
Yeah. Wait. I forgot to mention the best part in the entire movie. Amy Steele, Ginny, is running and hiding from Jason. She hides behind this little branch. It's probably about an inch in diameter and probably about a foot long. Jason comes running. She turns, kicks this motherfucker in the dick. So at this point, it shows that he is still human. And he goes, oh, and she fucking books it. My brain's going, wait, A, he would have saw you. B, the fact that you just kicked Jason in the dick makes you the most badass woman ever.
That's true, though. In the movies, he is kind of like a little more human until they progress later on after 4, I'd say.
Maybe he's supernatural.
Yeah.
I guess, like, because I think they mentioned it in the documentary, they called him Mongoloid, but I don't even know if we're able to use that word. So he's going to have...
whatever.
Yeah. He is going to have that extra strength. Like, he doesn't know how strong he really is, so it kind of does go into that. So, like, even with, like, the kills that he does with his bare hands, he was capable of doing it as a human.
Yeah.
Before he turns into the living dead. I'm getting ahead of myself, I know.
I guess we can argue because, somebody's going to say, well, if he's still alive, then how did he drown as a boy? And it's like, well...
Did he drown?
It's like, yeah, exactly. Did he drown? I mean, he's not stupid because he lets his emotions realize that his mom died and he's pissed off that nobody gave a damn about him. I mean, I can't explain the accelerating age,
Well... Like I said, the jump from 58 to 80 is 20 years. So that would make him about that age.
But because of the dream sequence with Alice as a kid, I'm like, yeah, I know.
Well, it's a dream sequence.
But is it?
Is it? I know.
I mean, the franchise is flawed with continuity.
We're really
issues.
thinking into
Oh my
this.
God. I mean, the continuity, we're not even going to explain that. Because it's
You
just
can't.
fun. It's just fun. It's just fun.
You can't. You can't explain the continuity in this one.
All right, so... To survive Jason, Ginny is in the shack with, she sees Palin Voorhees' head and the sweater. She gets a bright idea as Jason's trying to beat the shit out of the door to get to her, to put the sweater on and kind of make her hair look like his mom and hide the fact that she's Ginny. It works. You can see the emotion in his eye. And then all of a sudden she's like, you're done, Jason. You don't need to do this anymore. She straight up just chops this motherfucker with a machete. And... he goes, holy fuck.
Yeah. When he sees the head. Yeah. Wait a minute, this is not you.
Yeah.
And then we go to part 3.
I love just skim over like, yeah.
I think we should just go, yeah. I'll be honest, I really don't care for this movie that much.
Whoa, I was talking about 2. Like, we just skimmed over like.
I know.
But honestly, 3 as a whole is a fun movie just because they're like, let's take it to the next level. We're going to go 3D.
Is it because it's in 3D?
Absolutely. The kills are in 3D. You get to see an eyeball pop. Like, dude, that was some of the cheesiest shit ever.
You realize that when you're talking in a documentary and your primary focus is getting the objects in camera to create the 3D illusion, when that is given a priority over other things like directing, acting, writing, cinematography, camera work, you're kind of failing. Honestly, my fondest, I guess, memory with this movie is I was watching it during summertime when I was younger, and I wanted to see it just because it had the hockey mask in it.
The introduction of the hockey mask was in part 3.
Yeah, my dad walks into the living room. He watches the one scene where the girl is getting poked with the fireplace poker, and she dies right then and there. He looks at me and goes, "Why do you watch this? Did you go outside and play or something? Like, how can you watch this trash over and over again?" I had a moment where I watched the movie. I had a moment of realization saying, "Wow, you're right. I'm turning this off. I'm going outside." I had a moment where like, what is wrong with me? I should be outside right now and not stuck inside watching the same slasher flick over and over again. Go outside and play. Have an imagination.
Well, was it the first time you saw it, or was it just the repeat of when you saw it previously.
It was like the third time I saw the movie
okay.
as a kid. I was watching it over and over again. They're like, how can you watch this trash over and over
Well,
again? Go outside.
Like I said, that movie is like more on the fun side, so them trying to do the whole 3D effect. So it's like they did a lot of kills in 3D. So like, what is it, the guy getting his head smashed and the eye popping out?
You have the dart going up the screen, hitting the girl in the lake. You have
Oh, the dude who got his pelvis split in two. Oh, remember the time I got drunk and I said that's how I wanted to die?
This movie.
There's more to that story.
Yeah. We'll talk about that at another date too.
Yeah.
'Cause I feel like we're just gonna have a bullshit episode. Like
I know watching it recently too. That actor playing Jason was just not menacing.
Well, whoa. I'm just saying that little like run he does, like wide-legged, like do. Dude, that was probably the best thing about that entire fucking movie was the way Jason ran. It was like this really wide-legged, like almost his feet were pointed out, and it was like watching him chase people. I lost my goddamn mind because I'm like, that's not menacing at all.
No,
Like
I like the walk when he shot the girl in the face with the spear
harpoon,
guns.
yeah.
And he's like kind of got like the nerd neck. And
Are you
he
lurching
just,
your
like,
neck right now, dude?
Yeah, and then he just goes doo 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 doo.
My favorite is when he sticks his arms out through the driver's side window. Is this menacing? Or how about the axe through the head? If I just hold my hands up like a zombie, is this scary, Steve Miner? Does this work? No!
Well, the actor, to be fair, I believe his name is Richard Brooker, who played Jason.
I don't know.
He even said that when he asked for direction, they said there really is no direction. You're just a mindless killer. That's all they gave him.
There was no director on this set. I feel like he was just phoning in the whole thing from an LA apartment.
Probably.
Honestly, I feel like there was no director on set. Even the confrontation with the bikers, that entire scene could have been so much fun, but it was so poorly acted and so poorly filmed with the nerd backing up into the bikes and then turning around and then the chain on the fist punching through the window. It was so poorly done. It could have been amazing.
Hold on. You're bitching about all this because they literally shot it in 3D just for 3D effects. So like, there wasn't anything. It's like Jaws 3D.
The script was written in 12 hours. They wrote this script in 12 hours and said, "We wrote these pages. Are we ready to film? Let's film."
But I think the only thing
another chapter in Friday the 13th.
Yeah. I think the only thing that aggravated me about this movie, the final girl, I cannot remember her name because
I don't care.
kind of bland. They implied that Jason molested her.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wait, whoa.
When?
Yeah, I was like, this motherfucker murders people for fun at this point. When would he have the time? Does he even know if it works? But
It's an ugly shot too, with like her sort of out of focus and then the flashback in focus.
the whole,
they
like-
mold the two images together. What am I looking at?
Yeah, she was cute though.
yeah. And once again, she survives. And like I said, there's a buildup of final girls at this point. So you've got Ginny and her, and then so like nothing really happens. This is where you get the initial notch in that. And the mask.
The axe and the mask
So
on the
that
head.
Jason died to an axe to the face, and then the next movie is supposed to be The Final Friday,
Hence the title, final chapter.
Mm-hmm.
and so they bring back Tom Savini to do the art. So why not kill the monster that you made? So cool.
Great.
You get the introduction of Tommy Jarvis, who is played by Corey Feldman, who was really big, a child actor in the 80s. So you had the Goonies, this, I am drawing blank, Lost Boys, License to Drive. So it's like, kids got a
He was a busy kid after this movie was done. They could only get him for like a 2-second shot in part 5 because he was supposed to play a bigger part in that movie. But I know I'm getting ahead of everything. I'm just saying, this is the movie that got his career launched into the stratosphere. He was everywhere. They couldn't get him for any other installments. But yeah, he was big in this movie in part 4, and then Crispin Glover was in the film as well. Another big name.
Yeah. I think this series actually has a lot of bigger names when they were younger.
They do.
And like kind of like kickstarting their careers type thing, where now, now it...
Kevin Bacon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So for being the final Friday, you introduce to the Jarvises. It's a single mom with her daughter and son.
Daughter's hot.
Yeah. The son alone, Corey Feldman, Tommy, kind of fits us because he's like a weird kid. He's in the horror. He loves making masks. So it was cool to see like someone to relate to. The sister is, as
She's hot.
Colin just said, hot. And then obviously they got to bring in this stupid teenager. So literally, like I'd say 100 yards from their house is apparently another house that's a party house.
Oh.
Yeah.
With Crispin Glover, there's twins. Nothing like really stands out. Like,
yeah, I understand this is a fan favorite, but I actually found this. I'd rather watch part 3.
I'm the opposite. I'd rather watch part 4.
No, I'd say part 4 was boring. It was way too boring for me.
I thought the Jason in part 4 was better.
yeah, he was.
Oh, he was better, definitely.
Yeah, he was a lot more menacing. I really don't remember his name. Like I could see his face, but I can't remember.
He
his
was a
name.
veteran stuntman. He worked with Clint Eastwood a couple times. Ted White.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
it.
Ted White's his name. Okay, I thought he did a fine job. Yeah, other than just being like a retread of the other movies, I'm not sure what else I can add to this one.
That was just it. I mean, it was like, how did he survive, the axe thing? Because you see where he was at in the end of the third movie. He was at the bottom of the barn. The axe was still in his head, and they wrapped him up, put him in the coroner's office. He goes to the hospital. You see the breathing, and boom, he comes back. There's like no explanation as to why he's back. How did he survive?
Takes
Nothing.
the bone saw to that dude's neck.
Yeah.
Kills that nurse. Like once again, trying to outdo the third one. Third one was kind of lackluster. Didn't really have too many big kills. This one, like, well, we got to up it if it's gonna be his last fucking movie.
Right.
I found the mom and the daughter and Tommy. I found the Jarvis family more interesting. The other characters I didn't care for.
Nobody should.
Yeah, they were, like Jeff said, they were just bland, generic, boring, and annoying.
It's just like we're given all the screen time about the characters that get killed, but there's no depth to them at all.
Yeah.
Why can't we just focus more on Jason?
Yeah, and I thought I will say that the ending was pretty wild.
Oh yeah, dude, that whole thing, like, so, well, we're getting ahead of ourselves. So, like, the generic characters die, obviously. Like, there's no really big deaths that stick out. Like, they're really...
The girl
the guy
on
getting-
the road, I remember, with the banana.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that one. So, yeah, like, there's, like, random killings. Like, oh, yeah, by the way, we're just going to hire you to die. That's pretty much it.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
You find Jason's mom's tombstone.
Yeah.
Find out
That's
her
when you
name's-
realize it's Pamela.
Yeah, her first name's Pamela.
Yeah. So, it's like,
Um,
the generic people die, and then they start building up the final battle between Tommy and Jason and Tommy's sister. I can't remember her name either. I told you, horrible with names.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of names that you don't care about. I do like I said, the shower death scene where the guy gets with the fists right into the tile. That was a pretty cool death.
That would make sense. Oh, and the chick reading Fangoria magazine while in the hammock.
Oh wait, that was the third one.
That was?
Yeah.
Oh, damn.
Oh, that was a retread of Kevin Bacon's death in the first movie. Let's just recycle and retread everything that happened in the previous movies.
Listen,
because,
but
like,
there's so many deaths. What'd you say, 138? So it's like everything kind of like
137.
blends together. It's about to be at 38. So Tommy gets a bright idea to use his makeup to trick Jason to kill him. So he ends up like shaving his head, making him all kind of like really beat up. And I'm like, would that really trick Jason though?
Well,
like,
he got tricked from Ginny from the
That's
mom,
right,
so.
yeah.
like I said, recycle.
But I didn't get the whole like, oh wait, you're me. Yeah. I was like, I don't know.
Are you a figment of my imagination? Oh, right in the fucking head. Let's do this.
But I did like how the little kid was the one who stood up to the monster,
Yeah.
and then he even took the machete to the face.
Actually, that was kind of cool. Like, the machete got hit into the left side eye.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He hits the ground, and you're watching this, and the face is moving while the face is sliding on the machete going down to the hilt.
It was a lot more graphic, but the
Yeah.
MPAA had to really cut it back. There was a lot more to that, and yeah, it's pretty quick.
It still looked good.
It still looked really good. I just don't like how there's this slow motion, the reveal of Jason's face. We already know what his face looks like if you've seen part 2 and 3.
Well, they keep adding more to it at this point. Like, it's to the point
I know,
where...
but it's not a shocker anymore. We know it's deformed. We know it's mutated. We know he doesn't look normal.
It's still kind of the fun is to see what he does look like and if he changed.
Yeah, so, like, over time, like, getting the axe in the head, I think he has the mark, and then now that he has a machete, I think he gets chopped in the hand at one point, too, going down.
He does.
Yeah.
Between the
He
fingers.
gets his finger split, yeah.
So it's kind of a fun ending. Like, then they kill him, so it's like, well, where are we going to go from here?
We're going to end it.
Listen,
No.
I swear to fucking all that is unholy. I hate 5 with a passion. I was ready for this. This motherfucking movie pisses me off more than anybody. Because, like, You heard Colin Brand a little bit on the Halloween episode about 9.
Yeah.
No, 5 is the one that pisses me off. Because you're sitting here, you're taking Jason out of a formula. So now, all of a sudden, like, by the way, we're bringing him back. But no, it's not fucking Jason at all. It's this motherfucking asshole that you don't find out till the end that it's a fucking paramedic. Fuck that guy. Fuck that movie. Fuck everybody. I'm glad that everyone died. I'm glad that they fucking showed it. The best part about that fucking movie is they have a Playboy, penthouse model in there?
Her name was Voorhees.
Yeah.
Her name was Voorhees.
And that's
Yeah,
the
Playboy
best.
Bunny.
Yeah, that's the best part of that goddamn movie.
That was the best part of that
And
movie.
That was.
If I ever have to see this movie again, I might actually murder somebody. I might find everybody in that movie and then murder them. Because I hate this movie so fucking much. Like, even when I'm watching the documentary, I'm getting heated. I'm like, I'm ready to fight everybody. Like, when someone says that they like 5, I want to fight them. Because if you're a true Friday the 13th fan and you're finding out that's not Jason at all, I swear that you say you like that, I'm going to fucking fight you right now. I'm looking at you, John, because I have a feeling you're going to do it.
I hate it. I'm glad you're saying this right now.
This is essentially the Halloween 3 of the Friday franchise. But they at least didn't even get close to the concept of Jason being cool. With Halloween 3, at least you gave us a good story. This didn't even do that
And
at
Tom
all.
Atkins.
And Tom Atkins.
Yeah.
Oh my God, you're not the only one, because everybody universally panned this movie. Not just critics, but fans condemned it, saying this is a useless sequel that has no point being in part of the continuity, except that Tommy Jarvis is older.
And then they cut it out anyway. So literally this movie does not exist in the Friday universe. Because they rewrite history in 6. Because
That was
they
one of the
leapfrogged
best
their own
ones.
history by going, oh, by the way, never mind, 5 never happened. Tommy's a normal kid now.
Mhm. Yeah,
Well, he's
they
still haunted
retconned
by
it.
the past, and we get the. I gotta say, I love 6 probably the most. I mean,
I do
think,
too.
I think this is where like the most fun out of all of them come in. It was probably next to 8. It was the second movie or second sequel, I should say, that I saw that was full Jason. I saw it from beginning to end, and I said, holy fuck, this one was a hell of a lot of fun and really good.
But I think even with 6, this is the first time we're actually getting to see the camp in action. So the camp actually has kids there. It has the counselors actually doing their job. Air quotes, job.
This is the thing about 6 that I like. They recognized what it was, and the director even said that he was a big fan of Gothic horror.
Yes,
He
Frankenstein.
He had so many tributes to past horror films in that. He had tributes to Halloween in there. Like there was a Carpenter Road, a Cunningham Drive, or the town was Cunningham.
I thought one of the girls' name was Cunningham, like the last name.
Maybe.
I think you're
Yeah.
right.
I don't remember. There was a shop that Tommy goes to called Borloff.
Karloff.
Karloff, for Boris Karloff. They actually show that Jason died in 4. They had it. He was dead. He was buried. They go to a cemetery. Tommy still had his hockey mask, so he's haunted by everything that he's went through as a kid, and he just he's got to incinerate the body. He just wants everything about Jason done with, and then hopefully everything will just wash away that haunts him about it.
I guess Jason being dead wasn't dead enough.
Yeah.
I'm going to murder him while he's still dead.
I'm gonna take this gate rod and just bludgeon him a couple times during a thunderstorm, and the lightning bolt brings him back to life and turns him into a fucking high-powered zombie.
I loved it. I loved it as soon as they opened that casket. He's got that little shitty tombstone. Nobody gave a fuck about Jason.
The
He
worms
already
on
has,
his body.
Yeah. Oh man, it was so awesome.
He has a great kill right off the bat. He punches a guy through the chest and removes his heart from the other side, and then he lands into the casket.
And that's the other thing. It has humor in it.
Yes.
Dude, the guy who wrote and directed this, he even wanted to interject humor into the series, which rightfully so.
I think he should have from the beginning.
Yeah, from in a 6th installment in the series, they had to breathe life back into it.
I
So
know.
you've got a bigger Jason, taller and wider. He actually has a utility belt in this one, which I thought was funny as hell because Jason has a machete. Woo! No, he has knives, a pouch. He's fucking Batman of horror movies right now.
He got it from that paintball dude that he killed. That was all
Yeah, he
militaried out.
That's an awesome scene. The paintball sequence. Thank you for putting. It feels like with this movie, a director was on set and he was genuinely happy with what he was making.
The cinematography was different. You got a real like woodsy camp vibe feel from it.
Mhm.
Like Jeff said, the kids were actually at the camp for the first time. I really enjoyed Tom Matthews, who played Tommy Jarvis. He was clearly like the best Tommy Jarvis out of the three, and I felt like he was a very heroic character. I think he handled the lead part very well.
Well, he was also in Return of the Living Dead.
Yes,
so
I loved him in that. I love
Yes.
Return of the Living Dead too.
So it kind of like he already had that horror chops. Now he's a main character in one of the franchises.
Mhm.
Like even in the game, they used that version of Tommy Jarvis.
Yes, they did.
Rightfully so. I mean, because he was a beloved character
Yeah.
in Part 4. We're not going to talk about Part 5. We already did.
I'm still hot about that right now. I'm like literally.
But man, part 6 though, from him going to the sheriff, and then the sheriff is supposed to be the guy that you can go to and help. No, man,
He's like, fuck you.
He's like, fuck you, get the hell out of here. We want to forget everything about Jason.
He thinks Tommy Jarvis is the one that's doing all this.
Yeah, and that's the other conflict. And then meanwhile, the sheriff's daughter has the hots for Tommy, and she like wants to hang out with him, and
I
he's
didn't
like,
like that.
absolutely not.
That was lame, but whatever.
Dude, she was hot too.
Yeah.
She was very hot.
Dude, her driving that what? Thunderbird?
Yeah.
Firebird? That's
Yeah.
a Thunderbird. Firebird.
And she was badass. She was
Dude,
badass as
yeah.
well. She had some sass and
those two right there, being the final guy and girl, were probably like the perfect match. And I wish they would have come back.
yeah.
Like
I did too.
I've saying that so many times because, like I said, the strong female lead. I want to see what's going to happen to these characters.
Mhm.
Like, yeah, do they have PTSD afterwards? Do they actually end up getting killed? Do they have kids?
Yeah.
I want to know what happens to these people that survive. And that's my biggest issue with this series. Yeah, we saw what happened to Alice as a lackluster bullshit ending, but now we're introducing more and more strong female leads. I don't know where I was going with this, but anyway.
Forget it, he's rolling.
Yeah, that's you guys are like watching me. I'm like, I forgot where I was going with this. Anyway, so like even with the kills in this movie, they went a little bit above and beyond because like now they went from 5 and they're like, all right, we're gonna top this and bring back Jason in a strong way. So you got the punching through the chest, and then you get introduced to 2 camp counselors just driving in the woods. And he's staying there with that fucking rod that he got stabbed with. He ends up killing the guy and the girl with it. All I remember is the windshield. Like Chicople's got really stabbed with it as he's smashing through the windshield.
I couldn't believe that she was in that shot. There's no reason for her to be there because if that metal gate had struck her, oh my God, she'd be making so much Paramount money right now.
No, and just think, she's the director's wife.
Yeah.
Oh man, she would have gotten rich if that rod had hit her because it was supposed to strike right through the windshield and just go straight through, but it turned the direction.
As soon as it hit, and like they actually used that cut too.
Yeah.
That's what the fucked up
They
part
used
is.
the cut. I know.
And like, I think the funniest part about that is like she gets out, she falls in the mud, and she's offering him money. Like the
But
credit.
you know what? Like, why wouldn't
That makes
somebody try to
sense.
do that?
That makes sense.
And then I love the fact that like when he stabs her in the water, you see the air bubbles, and then you see the American Express card kind of floating down. I'm like,
In the audience, don't leave home without it.
yeah. And then it cuts to the paintballers in the woods. It's like one of those like company retreat things, trying to like make everybody bond. You get introduced to 2 assholes, and
One of them is a misogynist.
yeah. And it was funny because like that whole shot, like I guess their boss or one of their coworkers ends up shooting them, and they're talking. The guy's making all this misogynistic comments, and she's like, "Well, you got to put your bands on. It says dead."
Yeah.
All of a sudden, Jason pops up, and like it's a beautiful shot because like it's more of a shot from his back. You're seeing their faces. And then when he does that swipe, and it cuts all 3 heads off, you just see the bodies just drop.
He just turned into fucking William Wallace all of a sudden with a claymore sword, lobbing 3 heads off in one swing.
But the best part about that is the nerdy guy behind it going, "Oh fuck," and he starts running.
Well, he shoots Jason with a paintball,
He
and
trips.
Jason looks down, and he's like, "Are you serious?"
Yeah, like what the fuck is this?
I even love the realization that Jason thinks, wow, I really am strong. I just ripped a guy's arm off pretty clean. Okay, that's cool.
That's where he gets his machete from. I jumped ahead a little bit, but yeah,
That's
kills one
fine.
dude and like rips his arm off, gets his machete because the guy's cutting through the woods with the machete for
Got
no.
the utility belt from
Yeah.
him. Because he was like all into the.
Yeah.
like,
We're also
oh,
forgetting
paintball
that
guy.
this movie had a rock and roll feel. We
Fuck
got
yeah.
Alice Cooper to write the theme song for this movie.
Didn't he supply 3 songs? I remember Female
Yes.
Frankenstein,
Hard
obviously,
Rock Summer.
and Man Behind the Mask, which actually had Jason Voorhees in the music video.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, I did.
So it was kind of cool seeing like them bring Alice Cooper, the shock rocker, into now the horror realm again.
And I think that was the first, at least Friday movie or main, like the main three that had a heavy metal icon in it. Because Dream Warriors had Dokken, but that didn't come out till '87, and I think Part 6 came out in '86.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
So Alice Cooper
That's
was the
old as
first
us.
one.
Wow. Yeah, it seemed like every year there was a new Friday movie.
Yeah, they did.
Every year.
They were
crank
pumping them
them
out.
out.
Yeah,
They
it
were
was cheap to make. They could
Yeah.
write a crappy script, obviously, and then just pump it out for several $100,000, and then that's it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Maybe just over $1 million. Who knows?
It was like Saw. I mean, Saw was the exact same franchise there for a little while.
Yeah. Every year it was episodic. Every year there was a new Saw movie.
Mm-hmm.
I love that the lake gets set on fire. That's pretty fucking
Dude,
awesome.
that was another awesome part about Part 6, was that Tommy knew what Jason was and recognized it in the movie, and what does he do? He goes to an occult bookshop, and he's looking up how to stop a dead zombie,
Yeah.
basically. That was what I think was missing throughout a lot of these movies, because it was all just, chop him up, punch him, fight him, trap him, whatever. And here was actually some serious thought of, this is how you fight an evil entity.
Yeah.
And I thought, yeah, that's what I want to see more. I want to see, how do you stop that? That's what makes movies, like horror movies, more interesting. Like in Exorcist, it was like, how are they going to stop the fucking devil?
Yeah.
You know, how do you stop this crazed undead killer? It was so well thought out. And then they used the idea of, you got to take that entity to its original final resting place. So he has to go back to the camp, and he wants to trap Jason in the lake and drown him again, because something about the aura of the original resting place is what will keep him there.
Yeah. That's neat. And I love how at least they found a creative way to kill him off. He gets turned into fucking sushi by a boat propeller right through the neck.
And then they also tie a giant chain to a giant rock and throw it in the lake.
Mhm.
To, at least trap him there.
Yeah.
But the one thing we've skimmed over, there was a lot of like brutal kills in this movie.
Oh my god, the kills are great in
The
this
sheriff
movie.
gets folded in half at the very end.
Poor Darcy DeMoss, she was in the
The
Winnebago.
Yeah.
She had a cool death.
Dude,
Oh, is that the face through
Yeah.
the
Yes.
metal? Yeah.
I was like, we were talking about like cool deaths earlier before we even started. I'm like, that John was like, you know what the most famous death is? I go, there's two. One we'll talk about later. And then I was like, either that one or this one where the girl's face gets pushed straight through the side of a metal bathroom on a Winnebago. And I'm like, that scene alone I thought was actually really cool.
Yeah.
You got a girl's head getting twisted all the way off. Trying to think, there's a guy who obviously gets broken in half and smashed his head. I remember seeing the goo come out of his face.
Yeah, he got the one of the deputies. He gets his face smashed.
Yeah.
The sheriff, the asshole sheriff, he gets folded in half, like
Oh,
John
it was
said.
gruesome.
I know,
too.
and you heard all the crunching.
But here's my biggest thing: like, they actually show Jason go into a cabin full of children.
Mhm.
Where what pisses me off about Halloween is Michael does kill children, Jason does not. Which, yeah, teenagers you can consider blah blah, but dude, no, children are the one thing I don't.
Yeah, I don't
won't-
fuck
yeah.
with
He
kids.
won't fuck with. The one girl starts praying in her bed,
Yeah, and Jason just
hoping to
kinda-
God that he'll just go away.
That was so. Oh my god, what a great scene! The way that was shot and lit, and the actor who played Jason, C.J. Graham, I think he was, before Kane Hodder, he was the best one.
I
Yeah.
think so too.
I mean, I remember watching that, going, "Yo, this is good. This is really good." Like even when he was stalking that one girl that put the little girl to bed, and he just she pops up, and then there you see him behind outside of the cabin behind the window, and he's just slowly following her, and he's just got his head turned, and he almost looks like he's gliding. It was so cool. But yeah, when he's just like leaning in closer to the girl, and she's just praying so hard, it was like, is he gonna do anything? But you could tell it was almost like,
What is she doing?
what is she doing? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It was more of like a curiosity rather than a harm that he was
Right.
gonna do.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, there was a director on set for this movie, and he was genuinely passionate about what he was doing. That's why this movie is so good.
And C.J. Graham
Better than most.
C.J. Graham started the head tilt and some of the other stuff before Kane did. Like when Nikki and Quarter having sex in the Winnebago, and he comes up and he just looks at he tilts his head like, what's going on? And he's like, fuck it, I'm gonna go kill him.
I love the shot where the Winnebago's on fire and he's standing on top of it. That was actually a really cool stunt
so many cool shots.
with the Winnebago crashing into the side of the road and it just disheveled, thrown into pieces, and he's just standing on top of it like, yes, I am king. I rule this place.
And then, so with that one being the reigniting of the Friday franchise again, it's like the next movie, they're like, well, we're going to take it. We can't keep reusing the same old shit. And oddly enough, this is actually one of my favorite sequels, mainly because like Kane Hodder taking the mantle as Jason.
Mm-hmm.
But like there's a different feel about it because like it almost feels as like Carrie meets Friday the 13th because the heroine in this one, she has the mental telepathy and it kind of like brought a whole new element to the franchise. So it's like it was kind of weird, but it was also like a fun movie in itself. Like it was almost I want to say self-aware, but it was like it knew what it was at this point.
Yeah.
And
It tried something different.
And the guy who directed it was also a makeup artist, so he wanted the better effects. So that was actually really cool. And essentially, like it starts off with the little girl accidentally killing her dad because she gets upset, and she's like, what, 8?
I'd
Give or
say
take.
roughly.
Mm-hmm.
And then it jumps ahead because I guess she was in a mental institution. They were trying to help her, like, control her powers. You come to find out that her doctor brings her back to Crystal Lake to kind of get the, like, jumpstart on her powers, to actually see what these powers can do. And you kind of find out this dude's a scumbag. He's a straight-up piece of shit.
He's Bernie from Weekend at Bernie.
Yeah.
Uh,
So it was funny, like, seeing Bernie actually in action, but... but yeah, like, he is the biggest piece of shit. Like, he aggravates me to no end.
Oh yeah.
His
for
death
for
is-
a doctor,
yeah.
he's like, scumbag is too nice of a word for
His
him.
death is, like, really well warranted. But, like, once again, 2 houses by the lake. That's pretty much it. Like, you've got a party house, where, like I said earlier, the tattoo on my leg immortalizes the kill that was well-deserved, other than the doctor. Like, the doctor is probably the most well-deserved one in this fucking story.
Mm-hmm.
The second one is the bitch who ends up... I can't remember her name because, like, she still aggravates me that much.
Tina.
He fucking deserves it. So, like, they
Oh
party...
no, Melissa.
Oh, yeah, it is kind of...
Melissa's a bitch.
Yeah. But the whole time, like, she goes trying to, like, be a normal kid with this party group. They're there for a birthday party for one of their friends, and I guess it's his house, or his family's house.
Hmm.
So they have, like, 8-10 people there partying, drinking. So you're getting, like, some really cool kills off the effect. So you're getting the smashed skull coming down from the top and bottom. I think the party blower in the eye is actually funny because it actually makes the noise. Some kills you don't get to see until they're like a vision from... Wow, I just drew a blank again. I am horrible today. I'm sorry, guys.
you're rolling. It's cool.
From Tina.
Tina. So, like, she's seeing the kills, like, at either before they're happening or after they happen, but they're, like, in the middle of a living room. So, like, she's at the party. Also, she's seeing Jason stab this guy with a fucking stake through the back. And she's driving a car. She actually watches her mom die, but that doesn't happen until a little bit later. So it's like it's a kind of a cool concept. So it's like, yes, like now we have a person who is able to go up against Jason without actually physically touching him.
Yeah.
It's power versus power.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So like then Melissa throughout the whole thing is being an uber bitch to Tina and Tiffany. Sorry guys.
Hey Tina.
So it's like as it's going on, like she's like making fun of the fact that she's crazy, and she's getting all these friends to make fun of her too, and I'm like, yo. I hope she does die. I'm like waiting for her death. And like at the end, she's like one of the last people to survive, which pissed me off even more. I'm like, this motherfucker. They're hiding in the house. She's sitting there by the door going, I'm fucking leaving, blah, blah. She opens the door. There's Jason with an axe. Hits her in the head, grabs her fucking body, and throws her across the room. So now, Jason's in the house with the 2 people. He's blocking their exit. And he's taking up half the room because, you know, Kane Hodder's a big fucking dude.
He is huge.
So he's like
massive.
standing there and it's like, what are they going to do? So they run up the stairs. Of all things, like, that's the only way out is up. And I'm like, wait. The front door's right there. You can't, like, just... Because even, like, Kane, like, shuts the door to kind of block them. And then he's, like, sliding back and forth like a goalie.
Well, you also got to remember that he didn't just shut that door. He fucking slammed it. You know.
Well, after throwing a lifeless corpse like it's a fucking bag of potatoes, I would have been like, fucking man.
I mean, he was vicious in that movie. Yeah, Kane gave more body movement to to Jason. He did more of the heavy breathing and more of the head turns and put more. He put more acting than any other one did it.
He always said
care
that
into the character.
He always said that he wanted to move the head first before the body starts moving. The head starts and then the body follows when he goes to his target where he wants to go.
Mm-hmm.
He like you said, he put a lot of effort into this character.
He put some more characteristics into him. Like C.J. Graham started it, but Kane Hodder perfected it.
Oh, absolutely.
So like Kane Hodder is a little bit shorter, but he's always wearing like a 3-inch platform shoe, so he's gonna look taller.
And that's just movies in general.
Yeah.
Camera angles can bump you. When we saw him, he had to be at least 6'3".
Yeah.
So he's still pretty fucking big.
That's
But
taller than any of us.
he's a big dude just all around. Like he's a big man.
Well, he looked like he had at least a 50-inch chest.
It's like that. So he physically can do everything. It's kind of crazy. So being a stuntman, being in everything prior to being Jason is like, yeah, he physically can do this shit. Mm-hmm. And we know firsthand that his
literally
hand strength,
firsthand.
he can choke a motherfucker like it's nothing.
Jeff, you know from experience.
Yeah, I've done it 3 fucking times now. I don't know why I keep going back.
Like I said, I feel like these Jasons from previous efforts, you could have easily gotten away from him, but if Kane Hodder put his mitts on you, you're fucking done.
Oh yeah, I think it was from this point on, from 6 to down, you got the most violent and scary Jason. Mm-hmm. If anybody said, "Oh, Jason's not scary," you watch from 6 on down, that'll change your mind.
Yeah, dude.
Did feature my favorite kill in number 7, the sleeping bag kill.
Dude, that was the other one I was talking about earlier. That is probably the best kill because like you weren't expecting it. So he kills a guy. His girlfriend's in the tent. You see him cut through the tent, rip down, and grabs this woman while she's in a sleeping bag. He's whacking her against a fucking tree. I think there's one more hit, and they just throw the sleeping bag like it's
one hit and she's done.
Yeah. I was like, and they were saying this. Kane Hodder even said it himself. He goes, "I actually prefer the edited version of that kill because he felt like the other kill was really drawn out." Because he said, "You just see me whack away, blood spraying, blah blah." He goes, "It's more menacing when it's one hit and a toss."
Yep. Mm-hmm. I agree with him.
I was like, hell yeah. It makes it a scarier vibe because, like, yeah, dude, he's that fucking strong.
Yeah.
And then at this point, Jason was revived by Tina. I'm really doing bad with that thing. I'm sorry.
Just remember, hey, Tina.
Yeah. So she is at the lake, too, and the doctor's trying to push her to get the telepathy to work. She goes outside. She's all pissed off, and she does that little head shake. Like, and all of a sudden you see bubbles come up, and then Jason wakes up. And the first time you see him,
she thought it was going to be her dad.
Yeah, and the first time you see him, he's rotted. So, like, the spine's showing, the ribs. You can even see a little bit under the mask is, like, kind of...
It's so cool.
It was.
Really have a lot of detail to him.
They said they wanted to have every wound and scar on him, and the clothes being all tattered even more, and he's, like, soaking wet throughout the whole movie.
Like, that's one thing that they got right later. Because we bitched about how stupid the mask looked like for Michael Myers in the Halloween movies, why can't they just give him some more charred skin, or like the mask is really ripped apart and you see more of his face underneath. This movie, they go for the real body horror look.
Hell
with the spinal column showing. Oh.
Well, even at that point, they even tried to keep at least the mask, the hockey mask, to the point of all the damage. So it already had the notch in it in 6, and then when it came over to 7, after the propeller hit him in the face, it actually has a chunk of the mask missing, and it still has that notch in it. Mm-hmm. So it's like, they're at least trying to keep the hockey mask with continuity.
Yeah, they did a good job with that, at least.
So then, like, he's going in, that's when all the killing happens. But it's like, it isn't till the final confrontation between Tina and Jason that you actually get to see what Jason's face looks like. So when they're going up the stairs, she starts using her power, and you see the light bulb hit Jason in the face, and then wrap around him and start choking him. And it drops him down to the basement. So they're like, all right, we can fucking leave. He grabs Tina and pulls her down. Well, they're in there. She's like tightening the mask on the back of his head. You see it like oozing pus and shit. This splits from the front, and you're seeing it for the first time. You're seeing every wound on his face. So like the chunk of face missing from the propeller, the machete to the eyes that's actually missing. So it's like, it's one of the coolest sequences ever because like, holy fuck, like, yeah, continuity went into play when they made this Jason. Yeah. And then all he sees is a gas can start spraying fucking Jason with gas. I'm like, what the fuck?
And nails going in him.
Yeah, it was a fun sequence. Like, I felt bad because like Kane Hodder was burned while doing a stunt that went wrong. So this is actually, I think, his first time back as a full body burn.
Okay.
Yo, they said that was probably the longest burn that anybody's ever done, was probably that one, because as soon as she opens that door and like fire just shoots out of it like fucking and he's on fire, he's like still coming. I'm like, holy crap, man. And then
Good stuff.
So she escapes, the dude escapes, and Jason actually gets up again. He's coming out the front door. All of a sudden she tears the fucking whole porch down on top of him, which actually ends up hitting Kane Hodder for real. He didn't realize it was happening until it hit him.
Oh, jeez.
And then they're like, all right, they get down there, and they think it's done, and they blow the fucking house up. Really blow the house up.
That's true.
And then, once again, Jason still survives the explosion. Like, at this point, he is now a zombie, still chasing him.
Yeah, he's the immortal zombie.
But the weirdest part about the ending is the fact that her dad is the
savior,
the hero. So, like, they're at the lake now, and all of a sudden, it's like, everything starts happening. Jason's come to kill her again. And her dad, like, punches through the dock and grabs Jason and pulls him under. And that's pretty much how it ends. Like, everyone survives. They're in the ambulance. Once again, we've got a strong female lead and the final dude again. So it was kind of weird, like, getting that dynamic for 2 movies, like a male and female lead, like, surviving.
Back to back yet.
Yeah.
It's just a damn shame that part 7 was edited so bad, and I guess they said they lost a lot of the edited footage.
They burned everything.
Yeah.
They said if they didn't need it, it was gone.
Ugh, that's a shame.
Yeah, like, I guess they had to clean out their warehouse, and Friday the 13th part 7 was the one that they cut. I knew that was riddled with one of the producers and the director were going back and forth a lot of stuff, so he would shoot stuff and not tell her so that at least they could get it done.
Okay.
But, like, as a whole, like I said, as odd as it is actually one of my favorite sequels. I don't know why it is. It's just, like, it sticks out more to me than any of the other sequels.
It did things differently.
Yeah.
I liked it a lot. I'd tell you the truth, I think 6 and 7 are probably my 2 favorites. Just because...
I'll agree with that.
I mean, I agreed. I told you guys why I like 6 a whole lot. I like 7 a lot because, one, it's Kane Hodder's first introduction.
Mm-hmm.
The look of Jason was absolutely fantastic. I like that the heroine was different. I didn't care that it was a... Like, I know some people would be like, oh, why the fuck do you gotta have a Carrie kind of ripoff? And I'm like, it's a horror movie. I mean, there's already stupid shit going on, so hey, why not?
This literally started because they wanted to rip off Halloween. So you're telling me
Exactly.
6 movies later.
Maybe Jaws the Revenge is stupid too.
Yeah. Yeah.
No shit.
But I also thought that the characters that were, like, the friends in the cabin, they all had their own personalities. I thought that actually worked compared to 4. I mean, these characters were way more interesting.
They kind of meshed a little better. Like, yeah, they had the one nerdy girl, and then, like, you had the stoner. So, like, it did pull off some of the stereotypes.
The dude who wanted to be the sci-fi writer who was, like, covering himself in toilet paper, and he's like, King Tut rises from the grave, and he's hitting on the bitchy girl. It's like, what? I mean, and you felt bad for that guy then at the end, but... There were some funny moments again with it as well. The deaths were awesome. I mean, obviously the sleeping bag kill was cool. I even thought the cinematography was really well done in it.
The same as the 6th one.
Yeah. I mean, it had a whole lot of, like, just fun, out there horror movie stuff. But yet you also had, like we said earlier, you had power versus power. So it was a formidable foe yet that could go toe-to-toe with Jason. Even though, like, she could just, like you said, Jeff, just stand away from him. She didn't have to lay a finger on him.
No, like, the one sequence that she meets him in the woods, and I should say more of a path. She uses tree branches to knock him to the ground and then pulls electrical wires out of the pole and dumps him in the puddle right below him to just shock the shit out of him. Granted, it's not going to stop him at this point.
And you felt for her because then the doctor used her mom as a human shield and had her mom killed.
Oh my god, yeah. Like I said, remember when I said this dude was a fucking scumbag? Jason's coming with this, like, machete on a stick almost. I don't even know what to call it. It's a really long blade with a shaft. Almost like a two-handed shaft. And he's, like, running towards them. And this doctor picks up the mom almost like, oh no, we're going to be safe now. And then right through the chest. I'm like, oh.
Sounds like a glaive.
But here's the funniest thing. They come back. Jason starts chasing the doctor now with this fucking weed eater with his saw blade. Like, the only time I've seen this other than this movie, it was my father using it to cut down briar bushes. So I knew this was a real thing. So it's like, I'm like, yo, wait, they're going to kill somebody with this? I'm like, fuck right they did. So So it's like, it's cool seeing, like I said, it's well deserved. That motherfucker needed to die, and the fact they used a new, not even new, like something cool to kill him with. So it wasn't like a typical like machete. It wasn't a typical chainsaw. It wasn't that. It was like, here's a weed eater with a fucking saw blade, motherfucker. Let's do this.
I think another reason why I like Part 7 a whole lot is because my dad was one of the first Netflix customers. And I remember when we first got it, it was originally 3 discs that you got in the mail. And that was one of the first movies we got. It was Friday the 13th, Part 7.
Awesome.
And we signed up for Netflix in October.
Oh, that's awesome.
So I thought, hey, why not? And I remembered that there were movies that I wanted to see, and I loved Part 6, so I started at Part 7. And like I said, about being in the mountains and the farm atmosphere in October, it was like, oh, hell yeah. And I just remember the poster for it, and I just remember I liked it. I liked everything about that atmosphere, and it just kind of stuck, and it became a staple for a Halloween movie for me. So 6 and 7, I dig a lot.
Nice.
Now, 8.
It's just a big sigh.
So
yeah.
8 really does not follow continuity. It doesn't even it has Kane Hodder. That's probably the best thing about it. But it's called Goes Manhattan, Takes Manhattan.
Takes Manhattan.
I actually prefer the original artwork that they used for the poster was I Love New York, and he's cutting through the poster.
Yeah, that's a great cover.
But I guess New York really didn't want, the tourist board to be...
with a killer and a hockey mask and a machete going down the famous I Love New York sign.
We're going to point this out. So the movie starts in Crystal Lake. There's a fucking cruise liner in Crystal Lake.
Yeah.
How the fuck does that get to the ocean? If it's a lake, where the fuck is it going?
Magic.
I mean, we did get to see some cool Jason action, but once again, continuity wasn't in play. All of a sudden, all the stuff that we saw in 7 is now healed up in 8. Even the mask
and his clothing
that's broken.
is all, sewn together.
Yeah.
80% of this movie takes place on a boat.
Yeah.
And not the city of New York.
And in the city shots, most of it's actually in Toronto.
Yep.
That's so sad.
The only sequence that is actually in New York is when he's in Times Square. And I think they had it for 2 weeks where they had to block it off from midnight on. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, yeah, listen, if I was there, I would have just jumped that rail. I wouldn't give a fuck.
That was one of my favorite comedic moments where he kicks the kid's boombox and just keeps walking. They throw the switchblade at him. He peels the mask up and they just run for their lives. That's actually
cool,
a really
man.
funny
That's
moment.
Cool.
Yeah. I don't know why I'm fucking with you, man.
So once again, we're back to the generic people. Nobody really give the fuck about who was gonna die, who's the final girl. There was really nothing that stuck out. Even the final girl was kind of bland.
Oh, she really was. She had a connection with Jason. Jason tried to drown her when she was younger in the kid form. The dad tried to break her fear of water.
Yeah. Fuck it, here you go. Swim, motherfucker.
And there's the scumbag, the doctor was a scumbag. This uncle, it was the principal of the school?
I don't even know. Dean, principal, whatever.
I don't know.
I like that actor, though.
He's been around in a couple films. But I just feel like this was a massive misfire. They could have had a really cool movie with Jason literally in Manhattan, maybe living in Central Park, murdering people, or going down alleys. Because let's face it, if he was actually caught in a busy New York street corner, the cops and the SWAT team would have been after this guy. But that would have probably set up something pretty cool.
It would have.
They had potential, but they dropped the ball completely.
They really dropped the ball.
Well, to be fair, they did say that they did have bigger plans for it, and it was supposed to take place in New York, and money became an issue, and that's why the cruise became more of the focal point. Yeah. Because even when you think about it, why the fuck would you take a cruise from New Jersey to New York?
It's literally an hour and a half ride.
Exactly.
If you're
take a train.
Yeah.
I guess they do go on a subway in the movie.
Do a subway. Yeah, I mean, Kane Hodder's menace is the best thing about this movie. Like you said, with him breathing heavily, looking through the subway rail, with him throwing that busboy like he's a fucking baseball.
As a whole, pretty much it's a senior trip from New Jersey to New York, and I guess it's supposed to be a weekend trip, and everyone's supposed to be on it. Honestly, the only real couple of kills that stick out are Kelly Hu literally is, I think it's her first movie. You know her from X-Men 2, Scorpion King. Those are 2 big obvious ones. I felt bad for the woman because the room's probably 6'5", and he has to hold her up in the air by her neck and then throws her to the ground without having her brace herself. he said she was Kane Hodder even said, like, she's a trooper because he said, I threw her. And she couldn't even brace her fall. Like, and that take where she hits the ground, that's her. And on like a rag doll.
Yeah, I was surprised to hear about that. I said, wow, no stunt person, and he really just like boom.
Yeah, and like that was actually probably like one of the coolest kills, only because of finding out the behind the scenes behind it. Because like, yeah, like you get one rocker chick who's filming a music video. He smashed her head in with a flying V. Other than that, like, dude, there really isn't anything that's
talking about the guy who got his head punched off on the rooftop.
Oh, I was getting there. You're getting way ahead of your.
There was the dude who had the sauna rock.
Yeah,
I mean, it wasn't memorable, but it was different.
Yeah.
I liked it when the fucking uncle principal got dipped in that sludge and he drowned. Like, man, what a way to go! New York toxic.
I was like,
sludge.
whoa, we're getting ahead of ourselves. So once they get past the boat, we get the random. All of a sudden, like 2/3 of the cast disappear. So like you see a bunch of people on the boat, and then all of a sudden you see 8 people left.
Yep.
You don't know where the fuck anybody's at. So they end up getting off the cruise liner onto a rowboat, and they row their asses to fucking New York City. We don't even know how Jason gets there. He just all of a sudden just pops up and he's there. Like swimming, I guess? Walking across the bottom? Who knows?
Do we really care?
No.
He just got there.
It was awesome.
Yeah.
And then when he sees the billboard with the hockey mask that he's wearing, and
a
he's
little
like,
bit of humor there. I like that.
Yeah.
So then it leads up to they're being chased by Jason after the fact that Jason becomes a hero. That's the one thing about this movie. I'm like, you make Jason a hero. The main chick ends up getting almost kidnapped.
Shot with heroin.
Yeah, they're shooting up with heroin. They're going to rape her. Jason shows up and kills these guys with the heroin needle. Not like injecting. He stabs it through their fucking chest.
Bashes the one guy's head in the pipe.
So he becomes a hero. I'm like, dude, listen, I can't follow the villain now that he's a hero. What? Then he turns around and the one kid decides to fist fight him on a roof. To be like, oh, you guys run, I got this. And he's like, ha, yo. At this moment, Colin and I have watched this movie so many times, we became announcers.
Yes, we did.
It was probably the funniest fucking thing ever because...
I wish we would have recorded that.
And later, I think it's later now, YouTube, some people have done it too. It is probably the funniest fight ever because, like, the kid's going to town on this Jason's mask, which, anyway, is supposed to take 100 mile an hour, 3-inch rubber pieces of hitting it. You're telling me a fist is going to do anything to it? Anyway, and then, dude, one punch. Knocks this kid's head right off. I lost it. I'm like, that's it.
I love the, take your best shot, motherfucker. And he's just like, just grabs him by the shirt and he's like, okay. Bam!
I love how during that entire sequence, Jason is constantly messing with him. In fact, the last punch that he throws, Jason barely flinches.
Yeah.
He just turns his head a little bit. He can tell that his hands are just covered in blood. He's exhausted himself completely. Even when I saw this, I knew he was going to punch his head off in one swing. Please do it. Please do it. And lo and behold, bam, it does.
I think one of the lamest deaths in it was the teacher that was watching the girl, the main girl. They were all in a cop car, and then the cop car crashes. They get out, and I guess she was still stuck in the cop car for some reason.
You forgot, that they hit Jason with the cop car.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah.
But then the cop car exploded, and it was just... And then that's when you get the flashback of the uncle and pushing the girl. I think her name was Rennie.
Yeah.
They pushed her into the lake and because she can't swim, and he told her the story of Jason, and he pulls her down, and then that's when she finally gets pissed off at him and goes away, and then Jason wakes up and dips him in the sludge and
uses his legs like a wheelbarrow.
Yeah, but that was funny as shit, and then that was the damn man, like I said, what a way to go.
A vat of sludge.
Yeah, and it's like green and gooey, and the fucking rat pops out of it.
You're gonna look just like me.
Which leads to the ending of this fucking movie. So they're in the underground sewer system.
The sewers.
Yeah. They're being chased by Jason. It's the last two, the final guy, final girl. It's starting to be a trend now. They end up climbing up as all of a sudden toxic waste and water comes running out to flush the whole system. We finally get to see Jason without his mask again, and all of a sudden it's like some weird shit is up with his face. Like it's like all puckered and like it's been like waterlogged for hours, for years. And I'm like, what the fuck are we watching? And then all of a sudden, like as the water's hitting him, he turns into a little boy.
It looked like a cartoon.
Yeah.
His face with the radioactive sludge hitting his face. It's burning the mask. He takes a.
It looks like a blow up doll, like style face. The eyes wide open, the mouth kind of like face. Like
Look like Maniac Cop in the sequel.
And that's really how that movie ends. Like it's a bad ending.
You forget the dog showed up at the very end, just like number 2.
The funny thing is, that was the other movie I saw at the drive-in. It was 1 and 8 that night for some fucking reason.
Hey, why not?
Yeah, I got some Kane Hodder in the original. That's all I needed.
That's why.
Oh,
because for some reason, 8's the universal one that they just play everywhere. Like I said, that was the first movie I saw just because it was on TV. And it seems like 8's always on TV.
Yeah, I agree.
Which now leads me to 9. Which,
Oh,
fuck me, dude. I fucking hate this movie, too.
I'll admit, I didn't finish this movie.
You don't need to. Like, you literally need to watch the first 5 fucking minutes, the last 5 fucking minutes. Because, like, fuck, man.
10 minutes of screen time.
Yeah, they said that, they wanted you to want Jason. I want to fist fight this guy, too. Like, he said he took Jason out of it because he goes, you got 8 other movies to watch with Jason in it. And I'm like, listen, no one gives a fuck about what you have to say.
Dude, when he said that, I was so fucking pissed. Because he was all like, yo, I'm 23 years old, I'm in over my head, but I'm making this Friday the 13th movie. And then he had that stupid homoerotic scene with the dude on the stirrups
the shaving
and the other guy shaving him. And he said, let's get something for the ladies. I'm like, dude, you are fucking everything up to the fan base of this movie.
I don't think he directed ever again.
Good, he shouldn't.
After this movie.
And especially after that.
Was it 2 directors?
No, just
one. Okay.
Especially after his dumbass comment about saying when people come up to him and said, we wanted to see the hockey mask and see Jason in it, and he was like, there was 6 or 7 other movies before. Just go and rent those. You see a whole lot of hockey masks. Like, fuck you, dude.
What a piece of shit.
Sean S. Cunningham even came back to produce this movie.
Yeah.
It's technically supposed to be the end of Jason once again.
Mm-hmm.
There's no Friday the 13th logo in this. It's called Jason Goes to Hell: The Final Friday.
That was because New Line Cinema now owned.
That's right.
Paramount still owns Friday the 13th. Sean S. Cunningham owns Jason.
That's what it was.
And that's actually what that we were talking about before this was the lawsuit between the original writer and Sean S. Cunningham, which actually killed this series right now. So everything that was in play is now done.
Yeah.
So that actually is, I guess, if you think about it, would be the start of everything. So that was what? I can't remember when that movie came out. I'm trying to block it out.
It was in the 90s.
94,
but
maybe.
I'm just going to skim over because I really fucking hate this movie because literally I'm going to wreck this whole movie really quick. Jason's in it for about grand total of 20 minutes. Stereotypical beginning, really fucked up ending.
Hot chick in the very beginning.
She's an FBI agent. You come to find out she's an FBI agent. Then Jason gets blown the fuck up.
Yep.
Blown up, like pieces.
At the very beginning.
And that's it. Then you don't see Jason till the end. He is a demon worm that ends up possessing people over, of course, the hour-and-a-half movie. And that's it. He gets resurrected through his
dead sister.
Dead sister or dead mom, whatever. Mom, sister.
Dead sister. Yeah, they go back to the Voorhees house. You find out Jason has a sister, and the sister has a daughter, and her daughter has a daughter, and the only way he can be fully resurrected back to his shitty dead zombie form is by possessing his family.
Dude, even the kills in this were fucking half-assed. Like, I think the coolest one was 2 kids in a tent getting murdered, typical style, but he uses a road sign and stabs the chick through the chest, through the back, and then goes up towards the sky.
They made it a creature film and like an invasion of the No, The Hidden, where it just like jump from one body to another.
Fallen, that's another movie with Denzel
there you go.
Washington.
That's another example.
It is probably the biggest piece of shit. Like, I hated 5 with a passion. Like, I still want to fight people. I actually just want to fight the director, writer for this movie. I don't care who says this is a good movie. I know they're fucking lying.
Give me a pair of brass knuckles.
I like the fight with Jason and John D. LeMay at the end. I actually thought that was really cool, and I like that he was protecting the girl he loved, who I guess was supposed to be his ex-wife. And I guess the baby was supposed to be his, too.
Yeah.
But they didn't really...
They didn't care.
Yeah.
I don't know. I hated this movie.
But I like that actor, and I like that he was, like, standing up for her. And, like, he knew Jason was a monstrous freak, but he still did what he did. And he took a beating in it. And he kept on going. And even Kane Hodder said that he enjoyed that fight. And I did, too. I thought that... And I also liked how at least they gave it another... This is how you stop him kind of end. the family had to kill him. And then you actually saw him getting dragged into hell, which was fucking corny. Okay, yeah, I get it. I didn't understand the little lightning bolts that are going up from his body into the sky. That I didn't understand. I tried to make some sense out of it. Like, was it all his lives from the movie that are going? Like, the 9 lives are out, and it's like, no.
Was he a cat?
Yeah, it didn't make any fucking sense.
The only thing that really good came out of the ending was the setup for Freddy vs. Jason.
Absolutely.
That's the only reason to watch that film.
By the way, was Kane Hodder's hand that was wearing the Freddy claws.
Huh.
Which I thought was cool. So now, up to this point, Kane Hodder has played all 3.
Yep.
He was Leatherface, he was Jason, and played Freddy in that.
Except Michael Myers.
Except Michael Myers. He did play Victor Crowley in another franchise.
Yeah, listen, that right there, like...
Hatchet.
That was the saddest day, like, when they were recasting everybody for Freddy vs. Jason, and they didn't bring back Kane Hodder.
Well, hold on.
I know, I'm getting ahead of myself, but we'll talk about that after 10, and then...
We forgot Jason X.
I just want to say real quick that shot, though, of the hockey mask being dragged into hell, that was a really, really cool shot. And again, it was kind of like at the end of the very first Friday the 13th. The hero and the girl and the daughter, they all walk away. It's this beautiful sunset. The music's playing. The dust blows off of the hockey mask. And you think everything's all cool.
Dog sniffs it.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden, boom, and Freddy's hand pops up. And again, it's that thing with the hand that comes up, and you even hear him just laughing when he grabs it and just drags it down to hell. And it was like, holy shit.
It's almost like they're saying, hey, Jason, welcome to the house that Freddy built.
Yeah. Or let the fight begin. And you weren't expecting a crossover, because crossovers didn't really happen at that time. I mean, they happen all the time now. But at that time, you're like, wait a minute. Holy fuck.
I think the biggest crossover we had at that point was the Ninja Turtles and Power Rangers.
But there was?
That happened?
Yeah, remember that shitty Fox show where they had
the Freddy vs. Jason came out before that.
Oh, really? I was thinking like that really shitty one with a female turtle.
No, I know what you mean, but yeah, they did do that.
I have no idea what you mean.
Yeah, it was Power Rangers in space. I remember that.
Yeah, it was bad.
Yeah, that came out in like
We're showing our
98
age right now, all right?
Here we are.
I mean, there was Frankenstein versus the Wolfman, but wasn't that Universal anyway?
Universal in the 40s. They had a lot of crossover movies with Dracula, Frankenstein.
Yeah, Dracula, Frankenstein. So you had those big monsters, but now you're having slashers do it. And
plus, they weren't two monsters from different owned companies.
Mm-hmm.
And then now that New Line actually owns Freddy, they were capable of, Freddy, Jason. So like now that they were able to do that, it was kind of cool.
Mm-hmm.
Which didn't happen for a while, so we ended up getting Jason X.
In space.
They set that up, 50 years in the future or something ridiculous. 400, it was something weird.
Oh, I don't care.
I don't even know the time frame, but this movie was literally made just to do something with Jason. Like, Kane Hodder was still Jason. It was the best thing about it that even the fans talk about is we got Uber Jason. He is literally now
Terminator Jason.
Yeah. And the whole concept of they find Jason, they explain that he actually regenerates. He's not a zombie, he's just a regenerating monster at this point.
He's an X-Man.
Yeah. He's X-Men before, the X-Men movies got really popular. Could you imagine that, though? Professor
Jason
X,
versus the X-Men?
Yeah, no, Professor X, so what is your ability? Also, he just pulls out a machete and no, we don't do that here.
Yeah. Imagine getting into his head. What is it that makes you tick, Jason? You miss your mom. You drowned as a boy.
Come with me, I'll help you with this.
I'll kill you instead.
I have a handicap, too.
Yeah. I would watch that movie. You know why? Because I can't help myself with Friday the 13th. And that's the same reason I watched Jason X. Like, there was no point to that movie. There was no need for it.
I just kept thinking, we can't end at 9.
Yeah.
We have to give him 10.
Yeah.
That's why Jason X exists. And where to take it? No other than space.
Lame.
The gray area where horror movie franchise, go and they've given up.
They never have a good in-space movie. It's a dumb concept, and I don't understand why they continuously to push for it, other than just because it's stupid, and that's where we should just take it because it's stupid.
The only thing that kind of makes sense is that I can see Hellraiser happening in space, because we've kind of gotten, what was that movie with Paul W.S. Anderson? Event Horizon. That was kind of like Hellraiser in space.
Yeah.
Well, there was a Hellraiser movie.
I know there was a Hellraiser.
Was that, like,
That's the only one that
Bloodline?
kind of makes sense to
I don't
me.
remember.
A Hellraiser film in space. That makes sense to me, kind of. But
Leprechaun
not
was
these
in
other
space.
ones.
Yeah,
Leprechaun
Leprechaun in space
space.
was ridiculous. Like that was on par with Jason X. Like how ridiculous it really was. Like, so there's no point to 10X, whatever you want to call it. And once again, it was under the Jason franchise, not the Friday the 13th. So it seems like Friday the 13th is now done.
Yeah.
Then wasn't it? We actually finally get the Freddy versus Jason.
Yeah, I remember that time because it was Jason X finally came out in 2002, and
Which was in limbo for 2 years. Like it was supposed to come out in '99.
yep, and
or
it was
2000.
because remember there was a movie magazine called Cinema Fan or something, and I remember they would have the covers and advertise it, and it was like, holy shit, are we getting another Jason movie?
Yeah.
And we waited for so long, and here it was like the most pirated movie at one point.
Mainly because, dude, Uber Jason, I'm still kind of like, that was the one thing about that game that they were hinting at the whole time. And I wanted to play as Uber Jason because there is no stopping that motherfucker. He is Terminator.
Yeah.
And I was like, then that whole, like I talked about earlier about the whole lawsuit, it killed that game. And there was so much they could have done with it. But I know there's comic series with Uber Jason, there's books, so I'm like,
Yeah, they gave it its own life then, because at the end of Jason X, he does go to another Earth, and
well, once again, they make it seem like he died. Like, he literally, dude, this is how they kill him. They fucking have him go into the atmosphere and starts burning up and lands in literally a crystal lake on Earth too.
that was a coincidence.
Oh no!
Yeah. And the government's not corrupt.
Oh no!
Oh boy.
But I do remember when after Jason X, they were actually interviewing Kane Hodder, and that year we had a Friday the 13th in October on a full moon.
Yes.
And Jason X had come out that year, and there was an interview with Kane Hodder in the magazine, and he said, it's official, we're going to be doing Freddy versus Jason. And Jason X was what, 2001 or 2002?
Yeah, something like
Yeah,
that.
the trailer came out with Halloween Resurrection, so they were actually coming out around the same time. I know.
Wow.
Yeah. Good companion piece.
But
and I was so excited. Well, hell, Jeff, I remember in high school when we had computers in our homerooms were the chemistry lab and the physics lab, and and they let us use the computers in homeroom, and we would like notoriously be hunting down Freddy versus Jason news because we were like, it's finally happening.
like our homerooms were connected by one of those like windows with the mesh in it.
Yeah.
All I remember was slapping a piece of paper on the window of the picture of the mask and the glove.
And remember the picture where it looked like Freddy's negotiating with Jason in the boiler room or something? And we were like, oh, dude, there's pictures. They're together. We were all like, oh my God. And then before IMDb was IMDb, that's where you still got your information. And the one day I remember we were looking and we saw Kane Hodder's name wasn't on the credits for Jason. And we were like, wait, what the heck? We were like, who the heck's Ken Kersinger?
Was he a Canadian actor?
Yeah. He was the guy that got baseball thrown in.
That's
in
right.
88.
So
my goodness.
it was kind of cool seeing someone. He also played Jason that got hit by the cop car in 8 as well. So he already had played him, but he's now going to be Jason.
Yeah. And that definitely pissed off a lot of fans,
I'm still salty about that.
including
Me too.
myself. They really they boned Kane Hodder in the worst possible way because
And for
they
what
wanted
reason?
to see him. He said in interviews, I'm going to kick Freddy's ass. And I believed him when he said that in those interviews. And then the negotiations, it didn't happen.
Beekler, the director of Part 7, said he thought he could have been a Jason that could kick Freddy's ass. And that was another reason why he cast him.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember we were so disappointed in that. And it was like, why? How come? And then in interviews, I remember Kane Hodder said, I was waiting to find something in that movie so I could say, oh, that's why they didn't cast me. And even when we saw it in the theater, I remember thinking, like, there was no fucking reason why they could not have had Kane Hodder in that movie.
Oh yeah, I could see maybe the size difference, but
That doesn't
you can
matter.
do camera angles.
That
you can do a
really
Exactly.
doesn't matter.
I was like, take for instance, Danny Trejo's what 5'5". He looks like he's 6 foot in every movie. You can do camera angles.
Yeah, trickery.
Well, Ken Kersinger looked like he had at least 2-inch platforms on in that movie.
they made that dude
and he's
tall.
already 6'6" or something.
I'm even surprised that there is audio footage of that actor when he's getting the makeup done, the makeup treatment for him for Freddy vs. Jason, and they're asking him about his character, and he didn't do any research. And there's even a moment where he says, guys, I don't think I'm going to live up to Kane Hodder.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, there's a YouTube channel called Horror is Dead, and it does a really extensive look about how New Line Cinema kind of destroyed Friday the 13th for a lot of reasons, with 9, Jason X, and then leading up to Ronnie Hugh, the director for Freddy vs. Jason, his decision to go away from Kane Hodder.
They said that was a studio decision.
Okay.
Yeah.
He said, hey,
There's a lot of back and forth. It's like studio, director, them not being on the same page.
And that was shitty. I mean, I still to this day am like, there is no fucking reason why they, like, wait, what, cost purposes yet? You know, and they still say, like, it's kind of unexplained. Mm-hmm. I mean, overall, I don't hate Ken Kirzinger. I think he did fine. You know, he was big, he was hulking, he did what he had to do. I don't think Kane's performance would have elevated the movie to anything that it could have been more.
Probably would have made more money.
I don't know.
Dude,
that
really made a lot of money.
Yeah.
It did make a lot of money. I remember seeing it 3 times in theaters. I was...
Twice.
Twice.
Oh my god, I love that movie. I mean, I never get enough of it. It's the best versus movie.
Honestly,
all the other verses kind of suck.
Yeah.
Alien vs. Predator shit.
Yeah.
That had some potential, but...
No, not in Antarctica.
No, Freddy vs. Jason was everything I wanted it to be.
And I think the hardest thing was trying to bring both universes together, which it was kind of a cool concept, like Freddy using Jason to bring fear to Springfield, Ohio.
Mm-hmm.
Springfield.
Yeah.
So they go
Springwood,
from Springwood, Ohio to New Jersey.
So they explained that in the documentary, like it was supposed to take 2 days, and the way they made it seem in the movie was 8
overnight.
Yeah. So they were saying like they were drugging Jason that much that they keep him under for the 2 days, but in the movie it's shot as, hey, by the way, we're in Jersey. Good luck.
Yeah. Oh, look at that, we're here.
Yeah. And I was like, the movie as a whole, like it's really fun. It brings both elements together, but in the long run, it didn't really bring the kill factor in for me. Like, I'm a huge Jason fan. I think the coolest scene is that there's a party scene in a cornfield, and really, like, the best thing about it is Jason getting lit on fire and running out, chasing people, murdering pretty much 2/3 of the cast right there. Mm-hmm. So it's like, all right. Even the fight between Freddy versus Jason happens twice. You got one in the dream world and one in the real world.
Which was cool, because they split it up.
Yeah,
that's nice.
That was probably, like, a really cool thing, but even both fights, like, they didn't really, like, stand out. So, like, it was cool seeing him fight, but it wasn't, like, you know, it's a memorable fight. Like, and then you come to find out that Jason's afraid of water. Fucking get the fuck out
I
of here.
hated that, too. I didn't understand it, because there were so many other movies beforehand where he was in the water, and he really wasn't afraid of it.
He swam in 8 to Manhattan. Who the fuck thought, you know, water was his kryptonite?
Well, even the writer said they didn't put that in.
Yeah, like, even the dialogue. I remember, like, they said that the one time that Freddy calls him an asshole, he should have called him a mama's boy, which would have fit better.
The mother angle should have played more of a bigger angle.
Like, they got to use that in the beginning where Freddy was masked as Pamela Voorhees and used him to bring back Freddy.
Yeah.
So it's like... yeah.
The carnage during the climax of the final fight between the two of them was really cool. How it really felt like two boxers just exchanging blows back and forth. Jason's got the upper hand. He's beating the shit out of Freddy with a machete, slash him across, up through the leg, and then Freddy cuts his fingers off. He gets the machete. He turns it against him, and these guys are just exchanging blows back and forth. The carnage is like a cartoon.
It was awesome.
But it's awesome, though.
Ripping Freddy's fucking arm off. So now Jason has the glove with the arm connected. He's using that as a weapon.
And Freddy's got the machete. He's plunging it into his chest.
Oh my god.
They get blown from the dock.
It was so over the top. It was ridiculous. And like Monica Keena was probably
just gonna say we got Monica Keena in that. Dude, I had the biggest crush on her.
You probably still do.
I do.
Yeah, you really do.
I met her too. And the funny thing was she was flirting with me in front of my girlfriend at the time. While her boyfriend, Edward Furlong, was sitting next to her.
Is that real?
Yeah, it was.
You've got to be kidding me.
No.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. Recently, she looks like she had so much plastic surgery. Like, even in the documentary, you see her talking the mouth isn't moving. You just see the teeth going. It's
Yeah.
like, almost like a Muppet. Because I'm like making the hand motion.
I was kind of sad about that because she was gorgeous in
hell
Freddy
yeah.
vs. Jason.
Hey, listen,
I'm sure she still is, but yeah, that I just looked like she had some surgery done in Never Sleep Again.
Listen, I still wouldn't say no to her. Dude, yeah.
But yeah, I cannot get over those fight scenes. I love when the air tanks are flying, one hits Jason, he goes soaring up in the air, comes down. Hey, asshole! Crack! His back just straightens up and splits. I had the biggest reaction from that.
Oh my god, there were so many cool things. Like when Jason threw Freddy through the windows and just goes down the line of windows through the
train
cabin.
of pain.
And then throws him up on a fucking roof yet. Oh, Jason killed that one kid in the bed by folding him in the sandwich bed. That was awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh, what is it? The stoner kid that gets possessed by Freddy
Yeah.
to drug Jason, gets cut in half.
Yeah.
So it had some moments, but like as a whole, like they could have done better. But it was a fun movie to watch. So like as being a fan of both series, like,
I think it knew what it was.
The thing about Freddy vs. Jason was, it was so awesome to start. To me, it's kind of like the Ghostbusters franchise, where you have a starting point, but then when you make a sequel, it'll progress and get better. Like they could have had better fights in a second one.
Yeah.
You know, they could have added more story. Like they said they had so many scripts for Freddy vs. Jason that like had good ideas. Like there was that Cold of Freddy called Fredheads. I mean, you probably could have had that in a sequel to help keep Freddy alive and have them help him fight Jason or something.
I still think using the Necronomicon probably would have been the best bet.
Sure. I'm just saying that there were so many other ways that you could go about it and bring a little more substance to it and whatnot. But they only gave us the one, and I wouldn't doubt we'll get one at some point again with like rebooted actors. But it's still a damn shame that we only got the one, especially with how much money it got, how much everybody loved it. But no, we got a sequel to Alien vs. Predator of all fucking things.
Ugh.
Oh my gosh.
But overall, I loved Freddy vs. Jason.
Yeah.
That had like every fight and like footage that I wanted to see.
Mm-hmm. It knew what it was.
Yeah, I loved it.
Yeah.
I mean, I made Jeff shut the fuck up in the
theater. Oh my god, yeah. I think I was gonna say something stupid, and he was like, "Yo, shut the fuck up," or like, "Shh." And like I laughed because I'm like, yeah. Like I'm notorious for talking through movies because I can't keep my opinions to myself. I have a problem. So that's probably why I like Elvira. That's probably why I like Mystery Science Theater, because like that is me as a whole. I'm like, even when we're at home watching movies, I'll still say something because I can't help myself. Yeah, okay. I can be by myself laughing about something stupid I'm gonna say.
But not that day.
No.
Like he literally leaned in and was like, "Hey, would you?" And I was just like, "Shh." he barely got like a second and a half.
Like a parent scolding a child.
Yeah, yeah. That's essentially what it was.
Yeah, I got everything I wanted with Freddy vs. Jason, and I'll be honest, I got everything I wanted with the remake.
Yeah, honestly, I was more impressed with that remake. But at that time, they were doing a lot of remakes. So we got the Black Christmas, we got Texas Chainsaw, Rob Zombies. So like they saw all these remakes getting done, and they're like, all right, well, what's the one franchise that hasn't been done yet? And it was Friday the 13th, which I thought was really well done. I was impressed with it.
I liked it.
Yeah. Of the major ones of Halloween, Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street, even Texas Chainsaw, this is the one that I actually genuinely enjoy. There's a lot going for it. I love that they splice the first three movies in the 15 minutes of the movie. In the first 15 minutes, all three movies are spliced in the very beginning.
Oh, yeah.
That's the best thing they could have done, and they did it.
Here's the best way I describe the remake, is I look at it as a tribute movie. Because it took factors that people recognize from the original movies that they liked and enjoyed, and they put that in there. They told the story of the mom at the very beginning with a little bit more of a modern twist. Mm-hmm. And they kept Jason more as a human, where it looked like maybe he didn't really die. You know, there's even an extended version where it shows him more as a kid walking around the camp in the flashbacks and stuff. It gave you that he's not quite the zombie guy yet.
Like even having the tripwires, everything. I just showed Jason running.
He ran after that chick with the machete with the sack over his head, and then Friday the 13th logo comes up. My jaw hit the floor. It was so awesome.
That was actually one of the remakes I saw in theaters opening day. Because
I saw it.
Friday the 13th.
It came out on Friday the 13th.
Yeah, I saw that in theaters too when it came out.
And I was actually thoroughly impressed with it because, like we said, having all the elements of the 3-4 movies into one, and then like having Derek Mears as like that menacing monster.
Who was a huge Jason fan.
Yeah.
He was like, even watching interviews with him, he was saying that he was excited. He had to hide that he was excited, but he was excited, and he'd bring his own touch to it. Was what I thought was really cool.
Yeah.
So like he didn't want to be like how Kane Hodder was. He didn't want to be how C.J. Graham was. He wanted to be his own.
That's great.
But he also wanted to live up to their legacy.
Yes.
And I think he did it. Like, dude, even the kills in that movie were ridiculous.
Yeah, oh yeah.
The
main asshole guy.
Yeah, the cheating scumbag boyfriend gets it the best.
Dude, that scream he does when the body hits the
yeah. That got the biggest reaction in the theaters. Everybody was just laughing. Oh, it was great.
The one guy getting the axe in the back.
Mm-hmm.
The one kid doesn't get like thrown against the wall and like smashed. I can't remember. I don't remember. It was like him spewing out the blood.
Oh, the screwdriver through the...
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, he hands Jason a hockey stick. It goes with your mask.
Yeah.
I love the cop's reaction when he knocks on the door and then Jason just jumps right behind him. Pure fear on this cop's face, and then he just sees the spear go right through him through the door.
Juliana Gill's nice ass titties.
You got tits, you got traps, you got Jason. I got everything I wanted in this movie. And even the cinematography is really well done. Steve Jablonsky composed the score, who did Transformers, so he had a good working relationship with Paramount. He did a great job with the score in this movie, too.
Well, wasn't it Michael Bay's company that did? Wasn't it like Platinum Dunes?
Platinum Dunes. Yeah. Steve Jablonsky, he was a protege of Hans Zimmer, so that was really exciting. It's just fun. It's a fun time, and I got everything I wanted in this movie.
That's what I felt like. I felt like it was fun. I knew what it was going into it. I knew that it wouldn't live up to the original because the original is going to be what it is. And I think if you would remake the original, it just wouldn't be the same.
No, I don't think it would have the same feel. If they would have used Pamela first and then kind of built upon it, which they did. You had to see a little bit of a new Pamela, but...
Mm-hmm. It wasn't necessary.
No. We know where Jason came from. We knew how he was. It was kind of cool just seeing like, oh yeah, by the way, here you go.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, Derek Mears being that menacing, and which is kind of funny because around the same time with a Hatchet going on, so like Kane Hodder being a new version of Jason as Victor Crowley, Derek Mears ends up being in the third one. You actually get to see Kane Hodder versus Derek Mears in that movie.
Oh my God.
And it was funny because like even during that, Derek Mears was like, I was excited to work with him. I'm like, who wouldn't be? So I was like, it was cool seeing like, wow, them recasting Jason for another time, but having a fan of the series actually playing Jason was probably the best part about it.
Yeah.
And doing a good job.
Yeah.
Because you hear people that say, oh, they're huge fans of this or that, and it's like, well, are you? Or they do a shitty job. And some people, they just phone it in because it's like, oh, a Friday the 13th movie, if I can get this, it might get me noticed, or it's a paying gig.
This didn't feel like it was phoned in.
No, it wasn't. No, I enjoyed all the actors in it. I thought they were cool. There was one line that I absolutely hated, and I don't blame the actress for it because even she said she tried to not have it in the movie, and that was when she says, Jason, say hi to mommy in hell.
Oh my God, that was such a dumb line.
I know. In in interviews, she's always saying that she hated that line, and I don't blame her because it is. It's dumb. It's stupid. I don't even know why the director would fight her on that and say, no, you gotta say it. Yeah. Why?
No.
And I do like the ending too because it almost mirrors the original ending too. So Jason popping out of the water, grabbing her.
Yeah.
He ends up doing it again, but through the dock. And I thought that was actually like really fitting for an end. So like, yeah, if they wanted to move forward, they could have, but obviously it didn't. That was what? 2009?
Yes.
2009.
We haven't heard anything since. So
there's been rumors. I remember a while back you were telling me that there was even a teaser poster for an idea where...
Yeah, it was in the snow.
Yeah.
So they had Jason's shadow, bloody footprints, and they just said Friday the 13th. And I'm like, wait, we're actually getting a camp in the snow? Which leads me into that whole like Madman movie where I was screaming about, a summer camp right before Thanksgiving. Is that really a summer camp now?
Yeah. It's just a camp.
Yeah.
Got like you said, the bloody footprints in the snow. The fan-made movie, Never Hike in the Snow.
Which is a sequel to Never Hike Alone.
Yes.
So if they can do elements of like just different, like we've seen the summer camp so many times, like hell, man, let's do a ski trip or whatever. Do something a little bit different, but have Jason in it.
That's
I
what I
think it'd
mean.
be fun
Like,
too.
Bring Tommy Jarvis back and the final girls.
Well,
like
they
you
did
said.
bring the actor Tom Johnson back in Never Hike in the Snow.
Tom Matthews.
Tom Matthews. Okay, sorry, not Tom Matthews.
Tom Johnson.
But yeah, like if they wanted to end,
Sounds like a porn star.
I was like, if they
there were porn stars in this movie, in this franchise. There were.
I was like, if they truly want to end this series, you just end it on Friday the 13th, 13. And like I said, bring back all the final girls, all the final guys, and end it. So like if they can't figure out what they want to do with this lawsuit, or if they finally do, just end it on a high note. Do something fun with it.
I don't think we said it on the record here, but there's a lawsuit going on where Sean Cunningham and the writer Victor Miller are battling for rights. I believe because Sean Cunningham created Friday the 13th in general, but Victor Miller had created Jason, and Sean Cunningham's pretty much been making money off of Jason when it really wasn't his character.
And I think the argument was he made Jason, little Jason, 8-year-old Jason, where they're now using, let's say, 30-year-old Jason, and they created that monster. Mm-hmm. So that's literally what the argument is. Like, what version of Jason are we paying for?
Now he's got to be 60-year-old Jason on paper.
Yeah. So, yeah, it sucks. So, like I said, the game got killed because of it. All movies, everything's dead right now in the water because of... there you go. But because of this whole stupid lawsuit. Like, yes, you guys can figure it out. At least give us one last movie for a last hurrah. That would be nice, but I don't think anything's going to happen.
I think anything can happen, especially if the price is right for it. I mean, I think it's a genius idea to one more time get all the main, like, an Expendables of heroes,
that'd be amazing.
Fighting Jason.
Because, like I said, I want to know what happened to all these people after. Like, do they have PTSD? Do they have families? Are they actually normal people? Or are they like Laurie Strode from Halloween 2018? Are they ready to fight back?
Training to be badasses.
I could see Ginny doing that, though. Like, the whole time, like, building up, like, this arsenal. Like, I'm going to fucking kill Jason no matter what.
Yeah, she becomes the Sarah Connor.
Yeah,
I still don't know what happened to Paul.
Where's Paul?
Paul's been, her boyfriend for years now. They're married, have a kid.
Yeah.
I would like to see shit like that. But this woman's fucking nuts now.
See more Tommy Jarvis.
Yeah.
Tom Matthews come back again.
I remember in Crystal Lake Memories.
Tina.
Yeah.
Bring her back again.
There was the idea that the groundskeeper in part 6 that he was getting money secretly from a mysterious figure to keep Jason's grave intact.
Yes,
and that was the dad.
Yeah.
Elias.
Funny thing is, I didn't talk about that because like them going, it would have been a stupid thing finding out about the dad and then not explaining it. So I was like, I'm not gonna talk about it.
No, you know what? I think it would be a good idea because I heard one person say, "I'd like to know the guy who married the screwed up crazy bitch."
That's a good layer. I think that's something that they didn't explore, or they were about to explore, but they just didn't do it.
I think they would have to rewrite continuity at that point too, because like if she did all this in one, and Jason's been doing this up to let's say it's 6, fuck 5. We'd have to go back now, and let's say, like, if they did 7, they'd have to go back and see where this guy was the entire fucking franchise.
Well, they could also use him as a guy for this another one, where all the, heroes and heroines come in together, and you find out that people would probably hear me now and say, like, well, then his dad has to be, like, 100-some years old. Well, what if he's, like, using what he knows to stay alive to keep Jason alive? So that could be a plot twist.
Yeah, it would be cool. Like, if he was taking care of the grave, he knew that his son was coming back. He's actually trying to stay alive to either A, protect everybody from Jason, or B, keep his son alive.
And why would he keep him alive? And maybe all the heroes that survived him, kind of like what Tommy did in Part 6, where you have to return to his resting place, maybe it takes all of them to do it. Or maybe you can even incorporate somehow, like there's a spiritual 13 or something that has to stop him. Something like really interesting. And and maybe in the end the way everything stops is Jason actually wants to die, and the only way he can do it is if the dad dies, and then Jason actually winds up becoming the guy who kills the dad so that he can die. And then boom. That's how you kill that franchise.
I would say I know in the game you got to use Tommy Jarvis to kill Jason.
Yes, you do.
And it takes all the camp counselors to do it. So you got to find a female who's going to wear the sweater to distract him. You got to get the machete. You have to have Tommy Jarvis there. So that would be actually like a fitting end. Like they have to get all the elements correct to kill Jason.
They can do it.
Yeah. I mean, even make it like a Horcrux thing where they got to get all this shit to...
Listen, we don't need
Put
Harry
some Harry Potter in
this.
this.
In the Chamber of Crystal Lake here. We just need...
That's where Elias lives, in the Chamber of Crystal Lake.
Oh my gosh. So, after now that we have talked almost, 2.5 hours, what is
That's it?
Yeah.
Felt like 3.
I know. What would be your guys' favorite kill out of the entire movie? I'm kind of curious. So, we talked about a lot. We brought up several, but what would be your favorite kill?
Favorite kill out of the whole series?
Yes. Because we already mentioned the one I was thinking of.
Victim-wise, I gotta say Mrs. Voorhees. Just because of the setup to the scene and the way Alice just like grabs that machete in desperation and boom, chops it off and you get that slow motion. That was awesome. I mean, the sleeping bag and Darcy DeMoss getting her head in the Winnebago. I mean, there's so many. I mean, 6 alone and 7, you can just say both of those. But I gotta say, like, my favorite death of Jason is part 6, because I thought it was well thought out. It was clever. It wasn't anything that was campy or corny. It was. I thought it was just really well done.
Yeah. Favorite death, definitely the one I talked about, where in part 6, the very first kill that he does in part 6, punching the guy through the chest, removing the heart from the other side. Because the movie is called Jason Lives. So they, just like Halloween 4, The Return of Michael Myers, they had to make the fans know that Jason is back. And what better way, this guy trying to make a heroic effort by bashing him over the head with a shovel, he turns around in his zombie face and not even a moment's hesitation, right through the chest, he falls in the grave. That was the best way to reintroduce this character in a sort of reboot in a way. Puts the mask on, and then he gets the ghostly figure of Jason slashing across the screen.
The James Bond opening.
The James Bond opening. That's great. And it has my favorite death of Jason, with the boat propeller slashing his neck into pieces. 6 had it all.
It did.
Yeah, that's all I have to say. Just it had the best kill for me from the Innocents, and then the best kill of Jason, part 6.
I've already mentioned my favorite kill. I got excited when that bitch got the axe in the face and he tossed her. Like I said, that whole setup was perfect. She's bitching and opens that door. Boom! Jason's right there. And then the ragdoll toss was probably the best part. And then slam that door shut. But I agree. I think 6 had the best death for Jason. Because it's also the most iconic. The whole chain, the stone underwater. So at least he's back where he belongs.
Yep. And it was well thought out. I just love the idea that he went to the occult bookstore to how do you look into evil, and he's doing it on his own. It's not with a priest. It's not with a shaman or any sort of magic. It's just Tommy reading books, and I gotta finish it.
Yeah.
Here's a question. What is your favorite tit shot? I'm sorry, you knew I was gonna say something.
Why don't you start, Colin?
I like Juliana Gills. That's without question. You got perfect nipple placement, baby.
Honestly,
from the remake, the blonde chick.
I'd say probably the one from 5 is probably the best part about that movie.
Yeah,
those
I'm
were
gonna
nice.
say that too.
Those are nice too.
Mm-hmm.
That's horrible.
Was it there's the one with the diner scene where she just goes, surprise!
Oh, it's showtime.
In the Showtime, in the mirror.
5. 5 too.
Fuck, I hate 5.
I hate 5 too. Damn it. Okay, let's not include 5. Let's see.
Too late, you already did.
I know. Oh, I have to really think about that.
Dude, I didn't even give mine a
hesitation. Okay, I thought you already said yours.
Yeah, he didn't even think about it. It was instant. So was mine. I knew what mine was.
You know what? Marcy in part 1, the first movie with Kevin Bacon. I thought that was pretty awesome.
Was there really one?
Yes, there was.
I was like, I don't remember. Yeah,
there was. He removes the hand, and there they are.
Not really spectacular. All right. Scumbag.
Come.
All right, so if you had to choose one movie, what would you say was your favorite?
6.
Of all of them,
Yeah.
still part 1.
Wow.
Still part 1. 6 is right behind it, though.
I was just gonna say 7, but yeah, I can go with that. It's kind of a nice different feel of each one. So yeah, it kind of also fits our personalities too. So
I think it does.
I mean, I love the first one, but as far as
Jason involved,
and a favorite, 6 is a go-to for me. Because like I said, I just love so much about that movie. It was well made, and I think it's gotten more credit now.
Yeah.
I think if there's one movie that everybody should check out of that, besides the first one, it's 6 for sure. Even though Kane Hodder's not in it, but
yeah,
I still think it's one of the better ones.
Least favorite.
Listen, I screamed about 5, so we all know that fucking one's a piece of shit.
Yeah.
This motherfucker's probably like line 9.
Yeah. I just... You know, like how you saw the guy who directed what's that movie with Robert Englund?
Incubus?
Yeah. Yeah, that was it. Thank you, John.
Yeah.
I want to go up to that guy and just be like, listen, so you're telling me for the last movie, you thought this was a genius fucking idea. The last Jason movie. Oh, we're not going to have him in it. All right, well, why the fuck don't you just make a Batman movie and not even have him in it? Or a fucking Batman villain. Make it all about Commissioner Gordon, and then at the very end, have Batman in it and say, like, Batman the Dark Knight. No. Hello? That doesn't fucking work out like that, you asshole. Oh, God, And he was a cocky motherfucker.
Yeah, he was. Oh, yeah, an arrogant little prick.
Yeah, go watch the other ones. No, dude, you're making us a new one. We want to see Jason being Jason. Fuck out of here.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. 5, 9, and 3. Those are my top 3. But 5, I fucking hate 5. I really, it's a vile, disgusting movie. It really is. The mother, the weird mother-son dynamic, and just the whole atmosphere of that whole movie just grosses me out. Number 5, not the shitty whodunit, which wasn't really a whodunit because they're never trying to figure out who is doing this except for that one little fuck-off scene where Jason was cremated. Who could be doing this?
Oh, yeah, and they had a mugshot of him.
Oh, yeah, in the paper. Like,
I got a mugshot of Jason in that movie.
Fuck me, man.
Yeah, 5, 9, and 3 are my least favorites, but 5 takes the cake.
You know, and the shitty part is that we could probably get so many other better Jason movies now.
Yeah.
Because more people know what they're doing, they know the fan base, and there can be continuity and more well-thought scenarios brought in. Like I said, you could probably put in more occult-type stuff, bring the dad in. Jeez, man, what a waste.
Oh, yeah.
It's a shame, because these movies are a lot of fun. And they do have scary moments. I mean, yeah, we're kind of desensitized to a lot of slasher stuff, but we recognize they're fun. And what makes them even more fun is the kills and watching the... Like, anybody who's put on theatrical makeup, I mean, those actors got to be having a blast.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, yo, I get a death scene?
I know it's 4 or 5 hours in the makeup chair, but they're still going to have fun when the camera starts rolling.
Oh, my God. Sometimes when the makeup first goes on, it's like a puzzle. It starts, and you just can't wait until it's finished to see what the end result is. And then you're like, yo, I get to pretend I'm playing a character like this? Oh my God, dude. Yeah, sign me up.
Well, now we're running to the end. Any last thoughts?
I want to say I'm glad Kane Hodder did come back to be the motion capture for Jason in the video game. And I remember he was very humbled by it, I guess is a good word, because I follow him on Twitter, and I remember he posted the credits and said, I thought I'd never see this again. And said Kane Hodder is Jason.
That was actually probably like the coolest thing that happened after everything. So that, and we got Victor Crowley. So I figured another version of Jason, a little more brutal.
Mm-hmm.
I agree with you, Jeff. I think they should get one more Jason in. I'd love to see another Freddy versus Jason, but I know it probably wouldn't happen with Robert Englund.
Yeah.
So I understand that. I'm happy we got one, and I'm glad it was with Robert Englund. It sucks that it wasn't with Kane. But I think if we can get one more Jason movie to like end this, Friday the 13th series before it gets rebooted and renewed for other things again, yeah. I would say let Kane do it.
Yeah.
Even like in part 9, let him be out of the costume too for a cameo or something. Have him do a dual role where he's Elias and Jason. Or at least have him be Jason's dad or something.
That'd be interesting.
Yeah. I would love...
If they bring back Derek Mears as Jason, have Kane Hodder as the father.
Oh, there you go. I mean,
That'd be cool.
I mean, end it right. Get the heroes back. Get the heroines back.
Because if you think about it, they could literally take that reboot universe and the universe that's already in play and end it together.
By the way, the ideas that we just mentioned are ours, so if anybody tries to take them, they're on record.
All in all, with the extensive Friday the 13th franchise, I really do feel like from numbers 2 to 5, they were recycled and directionless. It took them all the way to part 6 to finally do something different and fun and interject comedy. The only thing I can take away from this and from watching the Crystal Lake documentary is that I'm just glad that at least everybody had a good time. Crew, cast, they knew what it was. I'm glad that at least you guys had a fun time, and there is a very great loyal following to this franchise. I'm glad you had fun. It doesn't equal a good movie, but as long as you had fun doing it, then it makes everything worthwhile. And what I can say is, I love the fan films that are being made out here with Friday the 13th, with Never Hike Alone, Never Hike in the Snow. That just shows that the previous generation is carrying on to the next, and we're getting more and more enthusiastic filmmakers making stories and movies that they want to tell. So,
honestly, I think I said it all already. Like, I love this series more than any other slash series that's out there. Like, even when we did the Halloween episode, I admitted, like, yeah, I love Halloween, but Friday the 13th will always be my favorite. So,
I think Friday the 13th is mine too. I mean, I do enjoy the Elm Street movies, but they have their fair share of faults as well. I mean, eventually we're going to talk about it, but I also see that the Elm Street movies are more of a project than Friday the 13th was more fun.
Yeah.
And as a fan viewing it, I see the fun with Friday the 13th as well. And like I said, like being in the pro wrestlers and bodybuilding and football, I liked watching the big guys kicking ass. And I thought Jason was very theatrical. He was scary. He was menacing. I was scared. But yet I also, because of the atmosphere growing up, and I had a hockey mask toy, it was easy for us to play that. And we knew how to make the fake blood out of corn syrup. So, being around the woods and the mountains and a farm, it was like, yo, you want to play like Jason? And it was like, yeah, man, let's do it. I mean, it wasn't uncommon that my cousins would come over. And I remember Jeremiah was actually the one, that's my cousin, by the way. He was the one who was actually telling me the story about Jason Goes to Hell. But the way he told it, he skipped the body invasion part out.
That's like the bad parts.
He actually talked about it as if it was Jason going after the people, and it sounded like a pretty cool story. Like with the daughter and the niece now, and then the killing him with the dagger, and how he went to hell, and then the hockey mask. And he actually told it to me by a campfire.
Oh, that's awesome.
I
That's
remember
pretty
that
cool.
so much, and I remember him saying, man, you remember that? And I was like, dude, I was so into that sort of stuff.
Let's go back to the basics and have the ghost story by the fire.
And it was so cool. And like I said, the way he told it, it was much better than what that movie actually was. And he made it Jason focused. And then the first time I heard about the Freddy glove was from him at the campfire with that. And I was like, holy shit, this sounds so intense. Lo and behold, the movie was not.
For obvious reasons.
But I gotta say that these movies are just fun. I feel like they're inspirational. Look at what Tom Savini has gone on to do, how Kane Hodder has become a figure for that character. I mean, we were so excited to meet him. it's just unreal. I mean, I can't talk about the fun with these movies enough. I mean, yeah, like you said, John, you get the recycled ones, and that's why I don't really watch 2, 3, and 4. Either 5 I do skip. I mean, I do watch 8 still here and there just because it was like one of the first ones I ever saw, and I see some cool things with it.
If it's on, I'll watch. Wait to the deaths.
But that's what I gotta say. Overall, this stuff is really neat and a lot of fun. I think it definitely gets its appreciation more from fans because we see it the way it is and not the way these Hollywood elites or the Gene Siskel's say, oh, it's crap, and it's like, well, I've seen some serious fucking crap.
No.
Yeah.
I've seen it.
Yeah.
Find the gems.
I've also seen some Oscar-worthy movies that are absolute shit, and I say, yo, I'll put on Friday the 13th, 6 and 7 any day over some of what they think is great and art and a masterpiece. So, and that just goes to show the power of how much fun these movies really are. But anyway, I think it's time we wrap this up, guys.
Yeah.
So, with that being said, we're going to sign off. This is Colin Peters.
John Rashetter.
And Jeff Manfred.
Stay safe. Stay crazy.
You're all doomed.
You're all doomed.
Please, somebody help me.
Oh, yeah.